Grapsody with Will, Phil, and Reg, trying to keep it real instead of what you usually get from these talking heads. It's Grapsody, we're here to fill the void. 3 black fans, different perspective, got to fill your voice. Coming with the podcast, talking majors, indies in between. Yeah, it's all that, and we're down with Fightful, better fall back. Coming for respect, we connect like a ball bat. No need to double check, these are all facts. You're listening to us talk raps. You're listening to us talk raps. Will, Phil, and Reg. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps. Yeah, we're Grapsody, here to talk raps.
What's up? What up? What up? What up? Just to let y'all know, your man is in the building. Your boys is back. Kind of in the mood, man, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much of it away, but, you know, kind of in the mood, man, because I seen a lot of people talking last week. I seen a lot of people like, man, you worried, Phil? You worried? No, I'm not worried. Because you know what? Seth Rollins is still your world heavyweight champion. I told you guys this ahead of time. Y'all didn't believe me, man. I don't know why y'all...
Nobody believed you, Phil. Nobody believed you.
I don't know why y'all rarely believe me, man, but, you know, hurts to tell you, but we're still in the building, buddy. Sorry, man. Hurts me to my heart, baby. Hurts me to my heart, baby, but we're still rocking, bro. We're still outside, buddy. Real world champion is back in effect on Collision on Saturday. Colliders unite. You know what it is.
Wow.
You know what it is, man. Agendas is kicking off, man. Stardust Genius is back in the hunt. Bro.
You got it.
We're out of here, bro. Look, come on, bro. Ace of the AEW Women's Division is back in effect. Main eventing 2 weeks in a row. Come on, man. Know what time it is. I already heard, man. People was talking crazy. My guys over there in the building, man. Can't say too much about that because people be talking crazy about that too. But you know what it is.
You know what time it is, big dog. We blasting off. Hip Hop's birthday was yesterday, big dog.
50 years old. Happy birthday, Hip Hop. But
50.
Y'all know what it is. You're rocking with the best. This is the Grapsody podcast. I'm Phil Lindsay. Of course, I'm with my co-host as well, Righteous Reg. What's going on, man?
It's your boy, Media Man, your favorite rapper, your favorite writer, your favorite podcaster, Righteous Reg. I'm in the building. I'm very excited to be here. Saturday, Grapsody, best podcast in the world. 2 nights in a row of West Coast Pro. I'm very, very tired. You know, Phil, I was thinking 2 nights in a row I got home from West Coast Pro. I arrived at West Coast Pro at 5 p.m. Both nights I got home at 2 a.m. Now, mind you, Phil, I'm just a podcaster, they say. Just a lowly old writer, a rapper. Outside for that many hours because I love pro wrestling so much. Just out there absorbing, out there doing interviews, out there watching incredible wrestling. But that's how much I love wrestling, is that I'll stay outside until 2 a.m. because I'm dedicated to the craft, baby. If I had the bombs, I would be dropping them right now because I'm dedicated to this.
Let me edit for it. Come on, bro.
People come out here and they call me a shield for one company, or they think I'm connected to any one thing. Never, baby. I'm connected to pro wrestling, baby. We're here right now because of pro wrestling. I wouldn't be here if I just liked one company. I'm here because I like all the companies, especially independent pro wrestling. And I'm going to get right into it. 2 nights of West Coast Cup. It was an incredible tournament. A bunch of amazing wrestlers. Brian Keith, we know. I've talked about Brian Keith many times on this podcast, Phil. Brian Keith is
one of them ones, man.
Generational talent. One of those ones. Incredible run throughout this. He had great matches with the finals with Starboy Charlie were crazy. Speedball Mike Bailey and Brian Keith are just a match made in heaven. This match that they had was, my chest hurt after it was over. I wasn't in the match. Why is my chest hurting? What's going on here? My back hurt, my knees. I'm like, yo, you guys are insane. This is a fight two of the best wrestlers in the world. In my opinion, the best two independent wrestlers in the world. Number 3 is Masha. I think that those are the ones. Just having an incredible match back to back. Speaking of Masha Slamovich had an incredible contest. Lost the West Coast Pro Women's Championship. Very amazing match. A lot of stuff going on. But back to Brian Keith before I get off Brian Keith. Brian Keith is next up, going to get signed. I swear to God, I put my life on it. This guy is, when you see this guy, you will just understand it, but you have to see it in person. You have to hear Still Tipping coming over those speakers, blaring over those speakers. He comes out with
culture, man.
Yeah, he looks dope. If you want to really get in depth into Brian Keith, actually, you could get the brand new Pro Wrestling Illustrated out now. The Righteous Wrap Up is based all on Brian Keith and the rise of Brian Keith, because it's just the beginning here. But it wasn't just Brian Keith doing incredible things here. Saw this young guy, Phil. His name's Jay Malachi. He does a lot of work out on the East Coast, stuff like that. And if you ever heard of Deadlock Pro Wrestling, you probably heard of Jay Malachi. It's so funny. Cage match. Y'all need to stop lying. I was doing research on Jay Malachi because I was going to interview him after the show. So I'm doing any research on him, and it's all 31 years old. It says that he was 31 years old. So I'm like, oh, I guess this guy's pretty new in the game, but he got in pretty late. That's a pretty interesting story. So throughout the night, people are like, oh, yeah, it's crazy that you're 19, like talking to Jay. Oh, yeah, this 19-year-old.
Way off.
This young kid, this 19-year-old. And I'm like, what? And I was like, you're 19? He's all, yeah. And I pulled up the cage match. I was all, look at this. And he was all, what? He's like, who's doing that? I'm like, yo, I don't know who's doing the cage match, whatever, but I rely on you very often for PWI, for the Black Wrestling's 500, all these things. So I like it to be a little bit more accurate. I want to make sure that the things that I'm going on are real. Jay Malachi is 19 years old and blew my mind. I had heard of him. He's been on the list before, seen him all over the internet, but you see this guy live. He can jump. So I don't know how high, how they could do it, Phil. Why can these black people jump high, but we can't jump high? Why can they jump high in the NBA, but I can't too? Why can he do this, but I can't? Just an incredible young talent, had a bunch of great matches too. Jet Kevin Knight was outside just destroying it last night. He had a great match with Titus Alexander, the West Coast Pro Champion. Had a great time with Jay, Brian, and Jet, just talking the business, seeing what they're thinking and where their future is going to be. Very intelligent young minds. 19 years old, Jay Malachi is just insane. Please check him out. The West Coast Cup Pro was incredible, though. Starboy Charlie ended up winning the whole thing. Starboy Charlie also, not for nothing, very young guy out of Pacifica, California, West Coast. He has, if you know West Coast Pro and the history of West Coast Pro, you've seen the rise of Starboy Charlie. When I first started going to West Coast Pro show, he was a little kid in the crowd, and now he is the West Coast Cup winner and on his way to potentially winning the West Coast West Coast Pro Championship from Titus Alexander this October at the 5th anniversary of West Coast Pro. So yeah, to see the rise of Starboy Charlie. Had an incredible tournament. The growth that he's had throughout these last couple years is insane. To, like I said, see him go from a kid to see him doing this. He was on AEW earlier this year. He's all over the independents. There's this incredible tournament happening next week that I want to get into on the pod. It's All-Star Junior Festival. It's like in conjunction with New Japan and some other promotions, but they've announced like 36 independent and Japanese and wrestlers from all over the world to these junior heavyweights, and it's an insane amount of incredible talent. If you don't know anything about this, look into it. But Starboy Charlie is taking a part of it. Jet Knight's also going to be in it. Jack Cartwheel, like all these incredible, all the best wrestlers, Leo Rush, anybody you would think that is a great independent wrestler is going to be a part of this next week in Philadelphia. Starboy Charlie killed it. And my homeboy, Alpha Zoe. You guys have to check out Alpha Zoe. He's based out here in the Bay Area, Oakland. He had one of the best showings. I predicted him to win the West Coast Cup Pro, the show, but he came up short against Starboy Charlie. He suffered a little rib thing in a match with Erie that was insane. And the first night he had a match with Manders that like just changed the game for him, really established him. Big meaty men throwing meat very hard. So yes, what I'm trying to say here, you guys, is as always, check out West Coast Pro. This is just the best wrestling there is. I have the most incredible time. The future of the business is here. Some of the best amazing Japanese talent. In October, Kenta Kobashi is going to be here signing autographs. Masato Tanaka is going to be here having a wrestling match at West Coast Pro. So, like, a lot of crazy things are going on. If you have IWTV, both nights are going to be available pretty immediately when they get them all edited and figured out. So, definitely check that out. West Coast Pro was very insane. We might be talking a little bit more about this next week because this guy that be throwing these elbows wants to come and say a couple of more words. He's been on here before to talk about West Coast Pro, so he said he might make a surprise appearance. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Japanese wrestlers, you did get to see Takumi wrestle in person because she wrestled Masha for the women's title, and she won, if I saw correctly.
Phil, let me tell you about this match, bro. In the midst of this wasn't a tournament match. In the midst of these amazing tournament matches, Takumi and Masha had one of the best matches I've seen live, honestly. Like I said, Masha's the one of the best independent wrestlers in the world. Takumi is West Coast Pro keeps bringing in these women from Marvelous, and they are all so good. It's I'm like, I don't know what's in the water down there, but Takumi came and destroyed it. They had an incredible match. Masha is a killer in this at this point. Like, we all know how Masha gets down. But Takumi brought it to her. Surprise win. We all exploded in the building, like, unexpectedly. It was incredible. Like, I'm still blown away. I have to go back and watch the match because, like, you know, when the match is good and you're in it and you're, like, missing things, like, that's how this match was.
Yeah, Takumi is awesome, man. If you haven't seen her, like, stuff from Marvel,
Unreal.
Some of the matches she's had with Stardom, man, she's really, really good, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I didn't get to see a lot of the tournament. I've seen like stuff here and there, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. We talk about it all the time. So much wrestling to watch, so much wrestling to keep up with. So
I sounds like going to that show last night. I missed. So I was on Twitter like, how much did I miss? There's hella stuff happening on SmackDown. People are talking about New Japan.
Was there?
Oh, I mean, you know, the J stuff. Like, there were some wrestlers at the show, Phil, because, you know, we weren't watching the show, being like, is this real? Like, you know how wrestlers start passing around a phone being like, is Jay really out of the WWE? Because some of them don't really keep up, but they know, and they're like, I'm like, no, it happened on SmackDown. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So, but it's funny for a couple seconds.
Yeah.
You're going to have to explain the whole thing to me because I don't know what the hell's going on. I need a couple of bullet points from SmackDown in this, with first Rey Mysterio and second why Jay is gone.
Who's that jumping out the sky? REY? Yeah, SmackDown felt like a lot of filler, to be honest, man. It felt like a lot of setting the table for stuff after SummerSlam. Like, they showed a lot of clips of stuff that happened at the pay-per-view or what happened on Raw. And we did get some Bloodline stuff, which we'll get into. You know, as you said, Rey Mysterio is the new WWE United States champion. They went with this weird injury angle. I don't know, man. They went with this weird injury angle with Santos, which was odd because we just came off of Ray possibly having a real injury, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And so
in a match with Santos.
So Santos got jumped by Theory, and Theory slammed the case on his knee. And then he was going to try and work the match anyway. They did the whole doctor, is he cleared, is he not cleared? And then, Theory attacked him again during his entrance, and Ray took his spot in the match. So Ray took his spot in the match, and he won. He's our new United States champion.
Very that old man with the mustache-esque booking of, we told you we were going to get this match, and psych.
Yeah,
didn't they do a tournament for him to get here?
Yes. So it's very odd the way they got here. I'm not, of course, I'm not sitting here mourning the end of the Theory title reign because
Shout out to Rey Mysterio, the greatest cruiserweight of all time. Like, I'm happy about it.
I'm cool to see him get a moment, but it's also kind of like when you've got something that is like unmistakably over with LA Knight at the moment, it still just feels weird that he didn't win that tournament. I don't know what to make of that, but again, congratulations to Rey Mysterio, our new WWE United States champion.
Why wouldn't you want it easy? I don't understand. Like, they're laying it out for you. Like, here it is, bro. We like this guy. That's the guy we like right there. We see him. We're yelling for him. Just give him an opportunity. And they're like, I don't really know. We don't really like him though.
Did you see that Theory quote this week of the advice he got from John Cena?
I did not.
There's a quote of him saying the advice he got from John Cena after the match at WrestleMania. And I was reading it and I was just looking like, all right, but I don't understand. It just doesn't seem like, I don't know.
What did he say?
Yeah, he said, Cena-isms like, be in the moment, don't be too afraid, and don't put too much pressure on yourself to.
I can't believe I said, what did he say? I know exactly what Cena
said.
And he says it every morning on Instagram.
It's good advice, but it's so weird that it would come out now when Theory is like.
You didn't execute.
He's floundering at the moment. like he's got essentially nothing going. I don't know. Maybe taking the title off of him is a good thing. Maybe you can build him back up into something interesting because I didn't think that they were doing bad with him after the briefcase. After they took the briefcase off him, they did like a reset with him. And, the promos were better. The matches were better. The character was better. And then, he hit a wall again with WrestleMania. And ever since then, it's been kind of like, all right, what are we doing with this guy? And
yeah, it's kind of wild to say, these are all the things that Cena told me to do, and then I didn't do none of them. Like, why would you put that quote out? Cena told me to live in the moment, execute, and do all these things, and I haven't done anything, and I lost my championship. Like, why would you?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it.
I don't know.
I don't know what to make of it, and it also is just it coincides with him being very hot at one point doing the influencer thing, and now you've got two other guys that essentially do that same thing better than you.
Grayson Waller's eating your lunch, big dog.
Yeah, Grayson Waller is cooking right now. You've got Logan Paul that is a real life influencer, real life, no gimmick. So
that is exactly like how I feel when there's a wrestler with an MMA background or an MMA gimmick, and then like there's Matt Riddle and like Shayna Baszler. Like, there's real people that do it. It feels a little different. So that's exactly what's like, oh, you're doing this influencer game. It's like, we have like a real life influencer that really does that. So your thing isn't really the same. And we know that your guys don't match up. So it's been pretty unfortunate for Austin Theory, man. Like, because beyond the allegations, I know people are going to immediately go to whatever the stuff happens. Like, the dude is really good, trained by AR Fox. Like, he can, when it's bell time, ring the bell, he can work.
He's a good wrestler, very athletic.
There's just some disconnect.
Yeah, I see the vision sometimes character-wise, but it's just not really consistent.
I see the vision as hella funny.
Sometimes I get what they're trying to do with him, but it's just very inconsistent.
And just like I was talking about with all these other wrestlers, this guy's pretty young still, Phil. Like, he's still finding his way. Yeah, he's still trying to figure it out. The character stuff will come. This is all really a lesson, like, as insane as it sounds. Like, I hope he's gonna take all this, being in the match with his hero and getting nothing, and maybe do something with it.
When all is said and done, I don't think that the match at WrestleMania did what it was supposed to do for him. But he still wrestled John Cena at WrestleMania.
Still wrestled his hero at WrestleMania.
That's still a pretty big deal. That's a big career highlight for him. Yeah. And I was one of those guys when that top 30 under 30 list came out, and I was like, Theory in the top 5. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I mean,
think about it.
When you consider like his accolades, when you consider like how he's been positioned, I get it.
And some people, like, some fans think kind of beyond that. Like, they don't think as in-depth as we be thinking. And they're just like, I mean, he wrestled John Cena and he was the U.S. champion for a long time, even though he didn't defend it as often as he should.
Yeah, what is
people be liking accolades and dates and moments and shit.
Yeah, I think the stat line is he is third under Ambrose and MVP, right?
Yeah. So, people like that. That's what they're going to really, fans are just looking at that. They're not looking at he floundered an opportunity with his hero and who knows what happened here. Wasn't his fault though. They didn't set him up in any good positions. Like he wasn't even set up to be on TV half the time after the show. So I can't be too mad at him.
Yeah, I don't know. But, if you want to add to the conversation on this podcast and get your chats read, you can, of course, send us super chats. You can send us your humper chats via humperchat.com/Fightful.
Yep, and we're going to get into a couple of the super chats to start out here. Our homeboy Jake Salazar to start the day. What's up, Jake? Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo, Titan, Yoda, Naito, Los Ingobernables de Japan, LFG. Feel our agenda is one away, just one more match.
Listen, man. At the start of the tournament, that was the guy I predicted. And here we are. So
the hat was for a reason. The hat was for a reason today.
No, man, it's been on it. I've been on this since the New Japan Cup. I figured he was going to be the guy to win. It feels like that's the story they've been telling since Sonata won his title as well. So,
our homeboy Reggie Simmons says that Hip Hop 50 concert meant everything to me. I ain't gonna front. I got a little teary eyed. Now y'all dropping flex bombs again. My weekend is all elite. Shout out to the homeboy Reggie Simmons. Yeah, I saw that they streamed that concert live on YouTube. I was on YouTube last night and it said 8 hours, and I was like, I cannot wait.
8 hours.
I cannot wait for Grapsody to be over so I can get into this 8 hours of beautiful hip hop. I just cannot wait. I swear to God. It's been crazy. You say 50 too. 50 Cent this week. He's been on tour. He's on this crazy tour that's actually coming here to the Bay Area, but I'm going to be in Chicago, of course. That's how these things work. But he's been on tour, and he's been like having all these people that he had insane beef with that at the time we thought were going to end in violence. Like he had Fat Joe on stage. He had Jada Kiss on stage. He had who else did he have on stage? He had Cole on stage, but that wasn't really beef. Yeah, so he's been having all these like legends essentially in hip hop to join him on stage. The name of the tour is like the last run or the final something or something, and it really feels like that. And I'm like, 50 Cent doesn't need this rap money at all, as we know. Like he has all the money in the world for about 5 generations at this point. So for him to kind of go out on top with Phil and J. Cole, considered the greatest hip hop album of all time, Get Rich or Die Trying, has been pretty dope. But yeah, Reggie Simmons, I'm about to watch that today. That's all I care about. Sorry, Collision. Sorry, all the shows that are today. I got 8 hours of Hip Hop 50 anniversary to watch.
Yeah, I saw clips of it. Of course, I have not seen 8 hours of this concert. It sounds dope. A lot of stuff that we saw from it looked incredible. Method Man out there, Ghostface, Nas making a surprise appearance, and then bringing Lauryn Hill out and getting Lauryn Hill to come on time. Lauryn did her verse from his last album.
Come on.
Yeah, this looked incredible. Man, Hip Hop turning 50 is just incredible.
We're gonna get into it.
Like, I mean, let's get into it. Hip Hop turning 50 is a massive thing. I mean, to me, like hip hop means so much to me. It's not just music. It's something that has like dictated a lot of my identity. I mean, when I think of certain points of my life and the way I dressed, the way I talked and everything, it is absolutely from hip hop music. The identity of this podcast is because of hip hop music. Our logo,
100%.
Everything we talk about, just the way, we decided to come together and do this thing. It just was absolutely influenced by hip hop. It's just one of those things that I don't know what I would be doing, who I would be if it was not for hip hop.
Right. My earliest memory of fashion is wearing my clothes backwards because 2 little kids rapped about jumping around and they wore their clothes backwards. Every memory that I have as a child is connected to hip hop There's no way in the world. Like Righteous Reg is my rap name. Like hip hop is everything to me. Like wrestling and hip hop have played a role in my life, neck and neck, like for my entire life.
Did you have cross color growing up? I of course couldn't afford cross color.
The clothes that I'm talking about that were backwards were cross color. So. You know what time it is out here, man. Yeah, I can't even put into words. I don't even know what, like, people be like, I wouldn't be here if it was like legit. I don't know like what my life would be if hip hop wasn't around. Like I spent so much of my teenage years and young adult life just like consumed by hip hop. Me and the homie Este, shout out to the homie Este. I wouldn't be a rapper. The hip hop he made hip hop so important to me. We used to drive around in his mom's station wagon around California, going to hip hop shows. He would battle, and we were working on a hip hop documentary, The Four Elements: graffiti, DJing, b-boying, MCing, and like we'd just go around to all these events in California, listen to people rap. Like that's all we cared about. Like we would go to house parties, Phil, and all we wanted to do was find out who rapped. And so everybody would just have a cipher, and like we didn't care about girls or drinking or none of that. It was just like, who's rapping out here? And like we're in high school and stuff. Like that's how important hip hop was. And then eventually I started rapping, and like all the things that I've done with rap and hip hop are insane. Got a song in a video game. Like who could have ever imagined? Whoever thought that hip hop would take it this far? Biggie Smalls said that, man. He said
I'm in the limelight because I rhyme tight. Come on, bro.
Come on. Yeah. There wouldn't be this podcast, like Phil said. There wouldn't be a Righteous Reg. I don't know what my ears would do if it wasn't for hip hop. The greatest genre of all time. They try to bastardize it. People destroy it. I'm very upset all the time when I listen to things and when I see things on the internet, but it'll never die because at the core, just like pro wrestling, it could get to the highest heights of ever. But still at the core, at the bottom, on the grind, there's still going to be all the amazing stuff you'd ever loved about what it is. All the best rappers are still out there. They're still rapping. You could still get the best hip hop because you could get hip hop at its element number one source right now still. When people are like hip hop is just like, no, it's not. Like mainstream hip hop might not be what you want, or what's presented to you is not what you feel. But if you want your hip hop, you could find it somewhere. One rapper in the world is doing what you want. And that's just an amazing thing to do. Same thing with pro wrestling. People like pro wrestling. No, it's not. There's a bunch of wrestlers out there that are doing exactly what you want. They ain't presented to you. So it feels like you don't know they don't exist, but when they really do, it's out there.
Nah, man. Just it's too many moments that I can think of in my life that are connected to hip hop. I mean, tons of memories. I mean, some of my closest friends, some of the people that I talk to, like we have long conversations about rap. I mean, friend of the show, Emilio Sparks, when I talk to him sometimes, we just talk like for hours on end about something like from the blog era. We just
Emilio be blowing my mind when he posted those pictures the other day I'm like, yo, you are out here with like some legends, bro.
Just some people that I've talked to, just tons of things that I've experienced in life that are connected to hip hop, man.
What's your favorite hip hop moment, or one of your favorite hip hop moments? There's so many.
One of my favorite hip hop moments ever is Jay getting the spot at Glastonbury and homeboy from Oasis not wanting him to be there. And he opened the show with Wonderwall and he's out there with the guitar. It's one of the most petty things I've ever seen, but it's one of those moments for Jay that I feel like cemented his career. And it's just, it makes whole for me. Like as a whole fan and just seeing that, like him on that stage, everybody rocking out with him and he's up there singing Wonderwall terribly. One of my favorite hip hop moments.
We could just honestly go on Hove moments because I'm thinking of him and Nas after all the beef, standing on stage with their arms crossed. Like, what kind of a crazy ass hip hop moment that was?
What a moment! Sway doing an interview around the same time when they reconciled. Sway is one of our icons,
connected
man.
To hip hop like crazy.
He's when I think hip hop, I think of him on MTV, still having like the huge hat covering his dreads.
Yeah, I don't know why I think of Boondocks him before I think of regular him. like the cartoon version of him.
Yeah, of course, him doing like Five Fingers of Death on his show, and like how many freestyles I've listened to on there, and him getting his shit off after people rap, dude, which is always my favorite thing about it.
Yeah.
If somebody blows his
Did you
mind.
see the one that LL Cool J did this
I
week?
didn't.
You
I
have to
look
watch
that one up.
it just for Sway's reaction after he like Sway just starts destroying the studio because he's so hyped. It's amazing.
Listen,
he starts
man.
throwing mics around. He's like, it's LL Cool J rapping like it. You know, it's something else.
If you guys have never seen this before, if you've never seen Sway get in his bag after somebody comes in there and freestyles, it is one of the funniest things you'll see, man. Like he'll just sit there for a minute. Like I remember he had Nick Grant on there, and Nick Grant is like not like a known guy. He has like some great mixtapes. He has some great Lucy's out there, and so he got on there. He rapped and he sat there for a second. He was like, "Listen, you whack motherfuckers." You whack motherfuckers. You come on here and you say you can rap, and when I tell you can freestyle, then you want to pick up the phone and you want to do all this stuff. This guy right here, he's a real spitter. Bro, he basically starts like cutting a promo, man. It is it's incredible, man.
Listen, you whack motherfuckers.
Like, man, Sway is one of our icons, man. He's one of those guys that should be protected at all costs. I didn't like how Kanye went at him, but it created another one of the greatest hip hop moments ever. House Sway, man. Like, it ain't Ralph though. Come on, man.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I used to watch Wake Up Show freestyles like back to back to back to back to back. Like Sway is so important to the culture.
Yes.
The Wake Up Show and everything that they represented is crazy. We started the show out with Flex Bombs. We have to mention Funkmaster Flex.
Man, shout out
We're
to
talking
Flex.
Funkmaster Flex, the greatest freestyle of all time. Sorry, I know there's a lot, but Black Thought. You have to mention Black. If you haven't seen Black Thought rhyme for 10 straight minutes, he says they start the video and they say, and Funkmaster Flex is like Black Thought. And then he just starts rapping for 10 straight minutes and he doesn't stop. If you guys don't understand how hard rapping is, thinking of raps in your head, like even raps that you've known for a long, like it's so hard. And then to rap for 10 straight minutes without taking a breath is like the thing of God. And this is a 50-year-old man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no. Big shout out to Funkmaster Flex, another one that is icon. I don't always agree with everything he says, but he's given us some incredible hip hop moments. When, I mean, just think about when Otis debuted and us listening to it and him taking forever to play the song because he kept cutting off the song to like come in with his ad libs and come in with the bombs, and it was annoying as hell at the moment, but it's still one of those like incredible hip hop moments that I can't even think about the debut of Otis without Flex and like what he did for a lot of Hove records that he debuted. Man, the line, I don't know if people understood the ad libs I was doing when I was cutting the bombs, and I was like, hurts me to my heart, baby. That is a Hove ad lib from a Funkmaster Flex freestyle. Because he used to go up to that studio and go crazy, man. The Grammy Family freestyle, man, still one of the greatest freestyles ever, in my opinion. Yep. There's so many great moments. Him going to Rhapsody, the Rhapsody freestyles, Rhapsody just in general, just what that meant.
I was just tweeting about this yesterday. Like, I'm a rapper because of Rhapsody. Like,
fam,
it started out like it throughout the history of a black household. If you can have the access to cable, like you're probably going to be watching BET or MTV, like whatever, like the music show is. But Rap City was like a staple. So throughout history, it was a staple. But like around 99, 2000, my cousin started recording like the booth segments, and like we would just sit and watch that tape all the time. And I was just like, so every day after Rap City came on at 4 p.m. So every day after school, you run home to get to your TV to see who's on Rap City. But I was always just trying to see who was rapping at the end. So it really just was important to get to that last half because somebody's going to get in the booth and rap. And just watching those throughout the years and learning those and rapping those was like, I one day would love to be in the booth. And I swear to God, that shit inspired me to be a rapper. And that's the reason why I'm here today. Such an important show. Right after that was 106 in Park. Like I mean, like that was hip hop personified. Shout out to Little Bow Wow for saying 106 in Park. Of course, got to shout out Mr. 106 in Park. You can't say 106 in Park without saying Bow Wow.
Yeah, I saw somebody say Yo MTV Raps. Our merch
Yeah,
is based off of the Yo MTV
come
Raps.
on.
Like, nah, man. Again, I don't know what our podcast would be if hip hop was not a big part of our lives. Like,
Hmm.
man, it's just so many things. Like, I was about to ask you, what is a song that I don't care where you hear it, you will rap it start to finish. I know my answer, but
I have a couple, but my top two are probably Souls of Mischief 93 to Infinity. Like,
yes, I mean, of
does
course,
not matter. It does
you
not.
look like you were in the background of this video.
I mean, it's a pretty cliche answer. Like, oh yeah, you're in Oakland, of course, Souls of Mischief, big surprise. But come on, anytime that song comes, game time. And I think the greatest hip hop song of all time is between that and for me, Tribe Called Quest Award Tour. Wish I could say the damn name. But when that song plays, like I get goosebumps still. That song came out 30 years ago. Like it's
Yeah,
I it's hip hop is crazy, man. It's
it's it.
so funny
Yeah,
that people one time while I never liked that loser Post Malone, one time he said hip hop could never get you to cry, or it's like it's not emotional,
lies.
or it's like it could never get you to a point like a Bob Dylan song, he said. And I was like, that's how you don't know what the culture is. That's how you don't know
He's
what
wrong.
you're doing. And that's why I don't know why people are adding you in here. Like there's songs that like elicit emotions from me and like make me feel a way because I've been there, or I could see that, or I hear that, or I know that life. Like if you know what they're saying and you know what they're doing, it just hits so differently.
Yeah. My answer is What We Do. I don't care when I hear What We Do. I will
What
rap
we
that
do,
entire song, man. Come
man.
on, bro. Still
Hmm.
hustle till the sun come up.
Yep.
Crack a 40
Hmm.
when the sun go down.
Hmm.
One of the greatest hip hop records of all
And
time. I
here
don't,
we are again, back to Hove, because Hove went. I don't
bro.
know what he was doing that day. I don't know what he was drinking. I don't know what level he was on. I don't know how you rap like that and don't write it down. Phil, what the hell was he doing? Because he went insane.
Went crazy, bro.
I
Bro,
just like
fam started the verse with "Let me get him free." Come on, man. It went crazy, man.
they should have been like, "Yo, hold on a minute, brother. This is my song."
Yeah, no, yeah. What We Do is definitely one of those that I don't care where I'm at when I hear it. I will rap the entire
And
song.
if you bring up, if we're talking about hip hop history, you brought up Freeway, put on a beat, Freeway and
Put on a
Cassidy.
beat.
No, never forget Freeway and Cassidy. Before, see that times were
You had
different
to be there,
before
man.
social media, before the internet, before all that. You
You
had
had to be there,
to
bro.
be there. Like this was a myth, a urban legend. Like, oh yeah, I don't know. Like, how do these things spread when the internet's not like that? Like, everybody in the world knew about Freeway battled some young guy, and this young guy tore his ass up so bad. They're battling a cappella that Freeway was like, "Yo, put on a beat. We have to put on a beat." And Cassidy was just tearing his life away. Some say Freeway never really recovered after that.
Um, I mean, he had some good albums after that.
Was
He
Rock
had
the Mic after that? I think Rock the Mic was after that.
no. I think like his career moments. Like he had his first album. I think was after that.
Yeah.
I could be
So
wrong,
it worked out
but
for him.
he had a very underrated album that people don't talk about that
Mhm.
came after that. And it was kind of like around the time of the split of Rockefeller.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another one. Like when I think of like all the moments of like just how Jay-Z dominated
Mhm.
for like 2000s, like, and when Rockefeller was no more, it felt like the biggest deal in the world.
Mhm.
But I mean, like outside of that, like DMX, like his
X.
run, like I
We
mean,
got to give it up to some Texas, some UGK,
yeah,
some Midwest, some
yeah,
Outcast. You know,
Outkast. I mean,
we,
yeah,
the scope of hip hop goes so crazy. West Coast hip hop. I mean, they still like E40 and Too Short. I say all the time on here, and Mac Dre are gods in Oakland. There's murals.
yeah,
Still hear their music. You would think that they put out. Like, I mean, E40 and Too Short do put out albums very consistently, but they play their old music like their new songs. Like you would think that Sprinkle Me and Blow the Whistle are brand new songs with how
bro.
often they just
I
play them on the
fam,
radio.
Blow the Whistle is one of those records. It's not even like a regional thing. I've been outside when Blow the Whistle comes on, and
Do
I've
you
seen what people do.
Phil,
Like
do you know
today,
that? Yes, still it
today,
still rings off like that. I mean, you could imagine how it goes off in Oakland. I can't go anywhere. I'll be in the grocery store and Blow the Whistle will go off. Like that's how crazy it is in Oakland.
Blow the
People
Whistle,
start
man.
throwing ass in aisle 9. Like it's crazy out here. Like that song is still so that and when Tell Me When to Go goes off in Oakland, it's like it's crazy out here.
Come on, bro. Yeah, nah. I mean, of course, we can go gushing on and on and on about hip hop because, like I said, it just means so much to me. And it's not just that, it means so much to me, like as a genre on its own, but the amount of genres that I discovered through hip hop because I of course became like a nerd. I didn't become like a producer or anything, but I got a lot into making beats at one point. I got a lot fascinated.
Send a couple of those over, Phil. You ain't tell me. Why you keep the secret for so long? You guys, can you imagine that? We've been on this podcast for almost 2 years.
Well, I didn't really make beats
Phil for a long time, and he ain't sent me one beat.
Well, I didn't really make beats. Like I made like some stuff like in college, but like
if you're hip hop at one point and you have access to a computer and a program, you've tried at least to do.
Yeah, you've tried to do something. Everybody has tried to rap at some point. Everybody has tried to make some beats. But yeah, I got so into like production at one point, like, and so like I got into like a lot of like what is sampled for this song, and I usually can pick it up right away. Like I got a good ear for what is sampled. Me and my brother do this all the time. We'll sit on the phone for hours, like, hey, what song was this? Like, what sample is that? And so like because of that, I've discovered so much other music because of hip hop. So much like that got me into jazz. Like I got a much bigger appreciation of jazz as an adult because of hip hop. Because so many rap songs have sampled it. I mean, when you think of like all of the soul stuff from like Isaac Hayes is a genius, bro. And like he's one of those guys that I've learned to appreciate because so many hip hop artists sample this man. Like
hella.
Yeah, it's just but
James Brown's estate is getting caked up. Like
James Brown,
it's crazy.
Isley Brothers are sampled a lot too.
Oh my god, it's crazy when they talk about that a lot through hip hop history about how like some of the legends when they would sample these some of the legends like didn't like George Clinton was like nah, like don't like get up off my stuff. Like he's still super crazy about it. But they were saying that James Brown was super he would always give people the clearances because like eventually it's gonna be discovery, just like you're saying here, Phil. Like if you hear a sample, some people are gonna be like, what is this? And go and discover that. And Stevie Wonder's been discovered. Like there's so many artists that have been discovered off
bro.
Us hearing these crazy samples.
Yeah, no, do I remember Fruity Loops? Fruity Loops was the thing. If you guys don't know,
that's what we're talking about. You don't even have to say it.
if you guys don't know, man, Fruity Loops was basically the free audio app if you want to use it. Like Audacity is free as well, but Fruity Loops was the one that a lot of producers, if you were trying to get going, you use to make your beats because you can afford Pro Tools, you can afford like Acid or any of the high end like
or
audio.
a beat machine that's $2,000.
Yeah, but like if you have Fruity Loops, you can cut some little rudimentary loops and then put you some beats together, throw some drums over it. A lot of people did that. Of course.
Oh man. Yeah, it didn't take much. That's what Fruity Loops really hit. And that honestly doesn't take much for rap, man. Give me like 4 instruments and like we're to go. So yeah, that was a time when like everybody in the world was doing Fruity Loops. So it's pretty easy to rap because everybody got beats. Most of them are pretty trash though. That's the only thing. I'm not trying to rap on that bullshit.
Yeah, nah, but man, I'm telling you, so many moments attached to hip hop, so many like tours and stuff I went to, concerts, festivals, artists that I feel like have like basically wrote the soundtrack to large parts of my life. It's a big reason why I'm a Lupe fan. Lupe, I feel like not only just spoke to me as somebody that's from my city, but that is a nerd that likes a lot of nerdy things that I like, that speaks to a lot of things that I feel.
Bro, I wasn't a skateboarder, but his first song was about skateboarding, and that was like at that time when I was a rapper and rap was weird. Like that was Laffy Taffy time and like all this shit. So like
Don't.
Mainstream hip hop. It was ringtone era, and so Lupe comes out and he's rapping about skateboarding. The beat's crazy, and his raps are insane.
Filipino joint that he sampled for that is
I was
crazy.
like, who is this person? And then like Chicago was already so hot at the moment because Common was already a legend. And then Ye came, and then they hooked up together, and they were destroying it. And it was like, damn, Chicago's crazy. And then Lupe comes out, and we're like, hey, yo, like, where's this fool been at? Like, this is insane. And then the run that Lupe went on with when he first came in with the mixtapes and being on the Kanye song, it was like, yo, this guy.
Those first 3 mixtapes, bro. I'm telling you, in college, there was no rapper in my mind that could beat this guy lyrically. Lupe was my guy for a long time. It's still
Chicago,
my guy.
I understand. Like that's a pretty deep connection.
All right, bro. All right. I mean, are you kidding me, man? Mama raised the trooper. They trying to hit me in my head like Cooper, but I moves like super with the hood on my shoulders like bazookas. Early, bro. Lupe's he's one of them guys. I don't care what nobody anywhere says about him. People have tried to throw some stuff on his character. I ain't going. Lupe's one of those guys that defending this man to death.
It's one of there's a couple of guys like he's not doing anything. Like there's a line, of course. Like we definitely draw the line in hip hop.
Of course, but
all the lines they draw hip hop lines on Lupe are like they're not. It's like you guys are just like having arguments and debating and shit like that, and like. He be talking wild because he is, and he's a super intelligent guy, so he's gonna get into these deep conversations. But it's just like I say about wrestling, and some guys are wild, but when the bell rings, it don't matter. When the hip hop bell rings for Lupe Fiasco, you can't say nothing.
One of them guys, Lupe, as somebody that has been watching a lot of Street Fighter, which shout out to the homie Mena and Angry Bird. Angry Bird is the first Street Fighter 6 champion for Evo this year. If you watch Street Fighter as much as I do, don't play Street Fighter because I'm terrible at it, but I do enjoy watching people play Street Fighter. And Lupe's one of them dudes that he's a big Street Fighter guy as well, has beat one of the best Street Fighter players in the world, Daigo. Like, how many rappers can say that? Has been challenged by Kenny Omega to play Street Fighter. Like,
did any hip hop videos growing up freak you out? Because I don't know why the Ghetto Boys Mind Playing Tricks on Me is in my brain. I remember that video used to come on and I'd be like, yo, this is something ain't right with
it's spooky.
Yeah, like this is
getting spooky.
This spooky dookie stuff over here, man. I don't know what the hell this is. Hip hop is wild,
videos
man.
that freaked me out.
Just that one, just me, nobody else.
And you know what? When I think about the Bone Thugs video for "Look Into My Eyes," where they all had like the black
hey,
eyes.
Bone Thugs had a couple of crazy
Bone Thugs
and 3-6 Mafia. Like I'm like some of y'all. I mean, it's 3-6 Mafia.
Man, are you kidding me, man? Bone Thugs at the height, dog. Just
life was different then. Life
different,
was
man.
different.
Man, for me, Crucial Conflict in Chicago, man. Just at one point, all of us were saying CHICAGO, final ticket, here we go. If you were from this city, you knew that line. Like, nah, man. Like,
hey, in the middle of the bone.
I remember going to see Lupe once, and he brought them out to do Hey, and it was just like,
I was
one of the moments, man.
Chicago crew, Do or Die, Twister.
Yes, Do or Die, Twister.
We're talking
man.
Chicago rap.
Right now, like Saba, I feel like Saba is smashing it right now. Like
Saba, Mick Jenkins, Vic Mensa, like the new class of Chicago is crazy.
Yeah. What I don't want to get into the whole what happened to Vic Mensa thing.
But what happened to Vic Mensa?
Yeah,
there's been so many like peaks and valleys and ups and downs, and it's been such a roller coaster ride.
I don't know what to make of it, but Chance had more unbelievable highs. Like being the first independent artist to win Best Rap Album at the Grammys is insane. Like the run he went on after Acid Rap is just like one of the craziest runs I've ever seen in this industry. Like, yeah.
All right, do you think that Snoop Dogg is the most famous rapper of all time?
I think he has to be. He's one of those artists that I don't care who you are, how old you are, you know Snoop Dogg.
Snoop. It's
Will
Snoop.
Smith's another one. Well, like Will Smith, of course, but Will Smith's kind of a cheat code because he's an actor and all
Yeah,
this other
yeah, a
things.
little bit different, a little bit different. But
Uh,
yeah, if we're including him, it's definitely probably Will
but
Smith.
it's probably Snoop or Will Smith.
Yeah, because like that's one of my favorite hip hop facts. Is I was listening to a podcast with DJ Jazzy Jeff, and he's like, "What's the most famous hip hop song ever in the world?" And everybody's like, "Oh, I don't know." And then he's like, "The Fresh Prince of Bel Air song is like." Anybody in the world knows what the Fresh Prince of Bel Air sounds like.
And
Yeah,
probably-
that is a rap song,
and probably
you know
knows
what I
it
mean?
word for word. Like,
Yes, and I'm like, that is a rap. That's a hip hop song. He produced it. DJ Jazzy Jeff produced it. I'm like, that is a crazy ass fact because, like, I mean, everybody in the world has seen the Fresh
man,
Prince of Bel Air.
this might be a controversial take. Another incredible hip hop moment for me is watching Will Smith win his Oscar after he slapped a man on national TV. And then proceeded to party that night and rap his own song in his party, bro. And was getting it, bro. I was like, what?
Not a
This
controversial.
guy's a legend,
take.
man. This
That's
guy's a
not
legend.
a controversial take. That's just a legendary moment. Like in the annals of hip hop history, he got the first rap Grammy. The first rap Grammy was him and DJ Jazzy Jeff. And to go from that award to slapping one of the world's most famous comedians, so on like 90% of black people's Mount Rushmore of comedians, he slapped them on national TV.
Bro,
and then he
fam-
went up and accepted an award, and then he danced.
Fam brought the Source Awards to the Academy, bro. And then got
them
off
white,
this
Them white people were going crazy that night.
got off stage and was in a party with his Oscar in hand, getting jiggy with it. And everybody around him was with their cameras out. I've never seen anything like that in my entire life, man.
getting jiggy.
Like one of the craziest things I've ever seen, man. I'm like, yo, Will is a legend, bro, man.
Yes. They tried to get my bro out of here, but you can't get the guy out of here. He's been through all the adversity, and he has made it. Yeah, Will Smith, man.
Give this man his flowers. He's had a few moments that I think are like underrated, like him going overseas and like doing his music, and people like overseas know it like word for word. Like this guy, yeah, Will deserves his flowers as a rapper. I feel like a lot of people don't give him enough of his flowers because he got seen as like the pop rapper guy. He got thrown in like the same category with like MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice and those guys. But
everybody that was doing numbers. Anytime somebody does numbers, they're just like, "You sold out." No, I did numbers. I sold 10 million records.
And I mean, again, some of that stuff can get corny, but like when I think of like moments in history, like moments where hip hop was huge for me, like bro, as a kid, nothing was bigger than ninja rap for me when I saw Ninja Turtles, bro. Fam, like
ninja rap.
nothing was bigger than that at that time. Like, yo, fam.
We talked about it on this podcast before when the Fat Boys were the biggest thing in the world. Like, that's when hip hop started. I was a toddler, and I
Disorderlies
was like,
is a movie.
Is cool, man. These guys are awesome.
Disorderlies is a movie I've seen 1,000 times, man. Like I'm not one of those kids that grew up on like Crush Groove and all that stuff. Like that's kind of my older brother's era. But like Disorderlies is a movie I've seen a lot.
Yeah, that was a little bit above before our time. But yeah, when the Fat Boys hit, it was crazy. I've been recently, I got my Hulu account back up, so I've been getting back into the Wu-Tang series. Can't talk about hip hop without talking about Wu-Tang. Great series, amazing show.
Group ever.
Greatest hip hop group of all time. And that was before even watching the show. The show was like even more like Raekwon and Ghostface Killer, one of the greatest hip hop duos of all time. They tried to kill each other. We almost never got Iron Man. Look, we almost got none of that because they tried to murder each other. Guns were involved. Houses were shot up. I'm like, how did you get this group together? If you guys have ever done, you don't understand 9 niggas. Have you ever done a group project and there's just like there's 5 of you guys and you're like, we can't do this project. Like we just gotta have that one person do it and then we'll all put our name on it at the end or some kind of thing. Getting 9 people together in the studio at a show for rehearsal, it's hard getting 2 people on a podcast. Imagine getting 9 guys to cross overseas and these guys are drug dealers and killers and all kinds of crazy
Fam.
stuff. They just try to kill each other. I was telling you.
Meth is one of those. I think he's one of the most famous rappers ever. He's not. I don't
Memphis up
think.
there. Yep.
I wouldn't say he's more famous than Snoop, but I think most people know who Method Man is.
They be thirsting over meth online. Every time he posts
ladies.
a picture, I'll be like, "These ladies are they're going to tear his clothes off." They're like Michael Jackson.
Ladies, I think his wife can fight too, man. I think
Yeah, 1000%.
I bet his wife can fight. But no, man, seeing him and Red still like out and touring and like their camaraderie is still crazy.
They are the dream. Like when people talk about like hip hop, like for me, they're like, "Oh, what kind of?" I would never want to be Drake's career. I would never want to be anybody like that's career. My career, I would want is Red and Method Man. They tour about 250 days a year. They go overseas and they destroy it. They play festivals, but they're still themselves. Redman be kind of wilding very recently. The hip hop history legends. Don't look up any. Just listen to the music because there are a lot of questionable human beings out there.
Questionable takes, questionable things that they're doing. But nah, man, Wu-Tang is another one of them groups, man. Like they were so important. Their solo artist albums alone, like fam, when Shay Shay Lagos came out, like, and I was in high school, like being on a bus and like being on a school bus and like half of the school bus is singing this whole song, bro. Like,
yeah.
And most of us don't even know we're singing, but we're in it, man. Like
nobody knows what these words are, but we are having a great time.
Fam, yeah, just Supreme Clientele is just classic album, bro. Just he's another one that he's got so many classic albums, man. But
hip hop superheroes, that's what I call Red, Meth, and Ghost and Raekwon are just like the way that they talk, the way that they dress, the way that they rap. I'm like, these are hip hop superheroes. Like they're characters, but they're not playing characters. I like their real lives, but like
that's another Emilio story where he was explaining something. And he was like, "Yeah, Mess was in a room." I'm like, "You just in a room with like Ghostface Killer, and like that's normal. Like that's not it's not normal stuff that regular people do, Emilio." All right.
We should have had Emilio on the pod today. We could have talked hip hop history with them. But thanks a lot, Emilio, for not coming on the show because we didn't tell you about it. And we didn't send you an email. And we didn't prep you.
He'll remind me that I didn't invite him on for this episode somewhere down the line. He'll also tell me the numbers for the views for that episode he was on were crazy.
I mean, Big Bro put up numbers, though.
Speaking of numbers on the board.
Speaking of Wu-Tang, for this whole hip-hop conversation, I've been thinking of ODB rushing the stage and saying Wu-Tang's for the children. I just like that's like continuously plays in my head of like there's so many hip hop moments that like I wonder if like not in black culture they meant anything like, but like in black culture they were huge. You know
I felt like, that's what I felt about the Will Smith thing because I'm like that's probably controversial. So people were like, how dare he do such a thing? I'm of course not condoning him like getting up there and slapping a guy and being violent, but I just think everything surrounding it, just the way he celebrated after he won is just. Legendary, man. Like not
my wife's name out your fucking mouth is funny, dude.
Legendary, but no, you're right. Like I think outside of our culture, I don't know if people look at ODB the same way. Him coming up on the Grammy stage and doing that. Of course, rest in peace to ODB.
Wow,
man. Rest in peace to DMX, man. Like rest in peace to so many guys we love.
Biggie, Pun, like we could go on for days.
K-Slay, DJ Casper just passed away.
You know how many times I've cha-cha slide, Phil?
Fam. Was just talking about how cheesy the cha-cha slide was the other day, and then this guy is passed away. So rest in peace to him.
But yeah, shout out to him because I've cha-cha slide in Vegas. I can't count how many times I've cha-cha slide in Vegas. A lot.
Yeah, every time I think about it now, I think of Martin on Run Tell That doing it. Do your foot like this. Now do your foot like this again. Stop. Think about it.
Crazy, man. Shout out to Martin too. God's hip hop history. If you ever seen Martin, I mean, he had Biggie on there. He had Method Man. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, I would put Method Man up there too. Like even for the music and for other things. I think he's kind of transcended into that upper echelon of hip hop. I really can't believe it's only 50 years old, man. It seems so much older. Like Nas is about to turn 50 years old. They're the same age. Like who many consider the greatest hip hop artist of all time, Illmatic is the greatest hip hop album of all time. I have to say that out loud on
it
the
it
50th
it is
anniversary.
by far, because I saw some people debating this. It is by far the best debut album from any artist.
Far and
Like
away.
it's not even close. Like I mean, you can make an argument for like Doggy Style or some other ones,
Yeah.
but no,
There's some
Illmatic is
arguments in there, I think. I won't say not even close, but to me, like
uh,
that is like
it,
what
it
if
is.
somebody was like, "What's hip hop?" I'm gonna play them that. Like this is it. This is the pinnacle. This is
Fam.
exactly what it is. This is the struggle. This is poetry. This is crazy
Because
beats. Like this is hip hop.
it's just one of those things where we all have like one of those hip hop moments where I remember where I was where I heard a song for the first time. Like I remember where I was when I heard Busta's verse on Scenario the first time. Like I remember where I was the first time I heard It Ain't Hard to Tell, and I'm like sitting there like, what is this? Like it just was like I had never heard anything like that.
What is this?
Man, hearing
That's not
Fife.
the first time I felt I heard Elevators and was
Yes.
just like,
Fam.
"What are these guys doing? This is crazy."
Out of here, bro. Like the first time I heard like Ball and G and like just think of the first time you heard like Forever and like some of these
Yeah.
big, not that probably are not big cultural records to people outside of culture, but for us, like remembering where you were, like remembering the first time I heard Resurrection and hearing that common verse on there is
Or
hip hop.
we just talked about Wu-Tang the first time we heard Triumph. Remember the Triumph era that everybody was like a bomb atomic, like, oh, okay guys, we get it, we all heard the song, relax.
Fam, just so many great, but yeah. Speaking of hip hop moments, just like being in the building for a Black Star show in Chicago and them doing Resurrection and Common coming out and doing this verse, like,
That's
bro.
crazy. Yeah. I keep thinking, I forget, I've been to so many wrestling shows. I've seen Nas 2 times in concert, and I've seen Hove here in Oakland during probably his last tour. Maybe Vic Mensa actually opened up for Hove at that show. Interesting enough, a good wraparound. Remember when he was on Rock Nation and they were pushing him pretty heavy then. And so this was right after Hove dropped 444. So it was like he had like an intimate setting, like a lot of the show was blacked out. You know how it was when 444 came out. He was just like, when 444 came out, and that moment too.
Yeah, man, big intimate Hove moments, like when Unplugged dropped and just like,
We keep getting back to Hove. They're gonna be like, is anybody else in hip hop? I'm like, but Hove is like,
because
he's been so much of our
Hove is
lives,
one of the greatest of all
man.
time, bro.
He's been so much of our lives. When he
Yeah.
retired, and like it's just
Fake
like
retired.
he represents so much of our childhood and the years after that, because he's been around for so long, and the things that he's done and the verses that he's rapped are just insane, man. It's
No,
crazy.
he has too many like insane verses, too many incredible
How do
moments.
you do that and you don't write it down? I still don't get it. I don't understand. As someone who writes it down, I'm like, how does he do it without doing this part?
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, like I said, my heroes. Of course, you're gonna hear me say Lupe a lot. De La Soul, of course, Tribe. It's too many. It's too many artists to name. Too many, artists that meant too much over 50 years. But
Yep.
man, again, happy birthday to hip hop. I'm sure we've gone on a long tangent about this.
Yeah, I could talk for another hour. Honestly, we should probably move on.
We should get into some wrestling. We got some super chats, I'm sure, that are
Yeah.
also getting into their hip hop memories.
They're pretty stacked up because I only talked about 2 of them before we got into it. This one's from Laron 4. Shout out to Laron. He says, shout out to Phil and Reg. That's up. Shout out to you too, Laron. You guys are killing it. Looking forward to another great episode. We are already into it. Our homeboy Van Twin Blade says, hey, yo, Jordan Grace hits a 30 under 30. Happy birthday to hip hop. Talking about hip hop. Here's to another 50 years. Put on some old school tracks and jam. Yeah, I definitely played Tribe Called Quest Essentials yesterday as I was crossing the bridge, and all those songs still hit. Grim Spider 92 says, shout out to Grapsody. Y'all hold it down every week. Shout out to hip hop. 50 years is crazy. Went to my first LL Cool J concert last night. Definitely a throwback. Yo, Grim Spider, you are outside, man. I haven't been to an LL Cool J concert.
I've never been to an LL concert, and it sounds like that show is great. Everybody I noticed when it said it's really good. So
that's
it's a legend,
that's another show that's here in Oakland while I'm in Chicago. So one day the first is LL Cool J and the Roots, and then the second is 50 Cent. I'm like, oh, cool. While I'm
Wow.
gone, cool, really dope shows that I'm gonna miss, but I'm gonna be there for a great cause. So yeah. DeLorean Diggs says, shout out to homie DeLorean says, squad member for 29 months now. JESQ13 says, Jey Uso is a menace for not fading his sides in on the new haircut. He looks crazy.
I thought I was the only one that looks at that. Like every time I see that, as someone that cut my own hair for the longest, I'm just like, bro, fade them sides in, bro. It looks like he cut it and set the guys like he was gonna fade it and then just left it. Like, nah, bro, fade them sides in, bro. It looks crazy. It looks nuts, bro.
Yo, Jay, Phil agrees, as you can hear.
Nah, I thought it was just me because every time I see him, I'm like, bro, I just want to like tell somebody to cut the clippers on and finish that up for him, man.
Cut the clippers on. Leonard Aarons III says, so Santos won the tournament, beat Theory in a non-title match, just to be removed from the title match. WWE thinks you're all idiots watching this show. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I didn't really get it either, man. But you know,
I don't think anybody gets it.
Moments, man. They care about moments more than anything, man.
Because it worked. Because nobody cared. Everybody was just like, Rey Mysterio's a champion now, and it's like, that's the point.
Yeah, yeah. But I ain't hating. Shout out to Ray,
man. Codeman's left hand says, cross tricked us, man. Ice Spice is top 50 in NYC. Complex needs to be charged for war crimes. Yeah, before we get off of hip-hop talk, Phil, what the hell is Complex doing?
I don't know who wrote that. I did think it was funny that B-Dot was the guy that called it out. And B-Dot has gotten a lot of criticism for lists. I thought that was hilarious.
See, I almost didn't comment because I make lists. I'm like, I understand it, but yo, what are y'all doing?
Fam, but saying Ice Spice is a top 50 New York rapper and then not having Quality on your list, not having Inspector Deck on there, like, what are we doing? Not having Joey Badass on there, like, what are we doing? Joey Badass ain't the top 50 New York rapper? What are we doing, bro? Nah.
Banks and Joey Badass are my most egregious one. Like, if we're not putting these guys on the list,
man,
yeah.
Joey is extremely egregious, man. Like, like I can't roll like those.
Came up from that. Isn't he an actor and all this? Like, what are you guys doing? What's going on here?
A very good actor, but like all his mixtapes at one point, like, he was killing it.
1999.
That mixtape is
come on.
It's basically perfect, man. It's like one of the best mixtapes. Yeah, rest in peace to Capital Steez.
But I mean, I get it, I understand, but she's only been in the game a year. I don't think she has a full album. Like, no disrespect to Ice Spice, like she could potentially be on this list, but like, give it time, bro. What's going on here?
But top 50 over the people that are. I think it makes it more egregious because those people are not on there, and the list is longer. Like, those were the ones that were glaring for me. Like, quality not being on the list of top 50 New York rappers.
Like, I think MOP wasn't on there. Like, it's all these. I don't know, bro.
Should I pull it up while you're also looking at super chats?
Yeah, definitely. Might as well check it out. Our homeboy Deontay Swainer says, Reg and Phil, my dudes, all love as always. Samoan satire season. People mad about Elite versus Bang Bang Gang. G1 is wrapping up soon. Okada versus Naito final. Stardom 5-star Grand Prix going off. Go Tam. Go Sorry. Yeah, y'all be easy, fam.
Yeah, tournaments are definitely getting into that mode. We got some good stuff to talk about from the G1. I'm looking at this list and I completely forgot because B-Dot put the people that were excluded, and like, man, looking at this, like, man, Cormega's not on this list. Like, DMC, Black Rob, Inspector Deck,
DMC from like Run DMC.
Yeah, like Joel Santana's not on there. Lloyd Banks is another egregious one. Like,
it's like there wouldn't be a list without DMC. What do you mean?
Shine's not on there. Like, that's bad.
And I feel like every time that I hear people talk about Run DMC and growing up, they all like DMC. Like, Run was like Run, you know what I mean? Like, he's the voice and like the antics and the charisma, but like DMC was like the rapper. Like, he they both spit, but like DMC was spitting. Like, Banks, no Banks.
Not having Banks on there is crazy.
Like, when 50 was dominating the world and he was the biggest rapper in the world and he had a video game, his friends were rapping better than him. Lloyd Banks was rapping better than him
Banks
a lot of the time.
And Banks got some mixtapes. He's another one of nah, man.
It's crazy. But I understand, man. Making lists are it's awful. Yes Boy says, shout out to Gucci Mane for being a marketing genius and dropping Wappenheimer and soon Burby. No, Gucci
Burby
is hilarious because if this was in 2008, he would totally have dropped Wappenheimer and mixtapes when they were in that phase. It's a time. Jeezy and Gucci and T.I. and all those guys, man.
The run the South went on needs the respect that it deserves. But Jeezy was one of them dudes where, bruh, sorry, there was certain Jeezy records.
Speaking of Jeezy moments, man, like his T-shirt, they couldn't like his T-shirt was getting people suspended from school. His shirt, like just his shirt.
Yeah, man.
Chaos Control says, if we talking about hip hop moments, we got to think about 106 in Park, which we got into. Yep.
Yeah, we did. I believe we talked about it in this podcast. I was there for a taping of 106 in Park.
Oh,
in
that's
Chicago.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely moments.
That's history. Phil, you got that on there. That's crazy. I can't believe it. Johnny says, Ice Spice, the best rapper of all time. All right.
Whoa, let's relax a little bit.
Hold on a minute. Jake Salazar says, starting to think Phil had to be my brother in the past life between Punk, Nido, Hove, and LeBron slander. We got too much in common here. Yeah, we haven't. Basketball season we need it back because we haven't had LeBron slander in a long time on here, honestly.
No, I'm chilling, man. You know, shout out to all the Hall of Famers from last night. Pau Gasol, which he had a brief stint here in Chicago that I was a fan of. Wasn't that big of a fan as the Lakers run because, of course, not a Lakers fan. But
yeah.
He had his brief stint here. Dwayne Wade, one of the greatest shooting guards of all time, despite what I think of him as a nemesis to this team and stopping us from getting wins.
Yeah.
Dirk, one of the best, not just one of the best foreign players ever, incredible shooter. Man, gotta give him his P's as well. I seen what his wife looks like. I seen like the culture that he's representing. I seen him like that meme of him like coming to the game with his styrofoam plate.
The foil wrap styrofoam, yeah.
yeah. No, shout out to Dirk. Pop, one of the greatest coaches ever. Yeah, good class. Tony Parker as well. Great class of Hall of Famers this year.
Yeah, them boys won a lot of championships.
A lot of rings between those guys.
Our homeboy Aaron Busby says hip hop saves John Cena's career.
No, 1,000%. John Cena is not the star that he is without hip hop, man.
No
1,000%.
way. Nope. Nobody was gonna take any other gimmick of like if he would have kept doing what he came in doing, like they would have flushed him down the toilet eventually. He had to get that hip hop shit to go off, and a lot of those bars were pretty trash if you run them back recently.
I won't get into it. I won't get into a Cena rant.
Jay Stone says, what are some of the biggest hip-hop what-ifs? Mine is what if Lupe signed a Rockefeller?
Yeah, because if people don't know the story, he was offered a contract with Rockefeller, and he turned it down because he wanted to continue to build his label with Chill and, you know, make First and 15s a thing. But that's also why Hove is an executive producer on Food and Liquor.
Right.
Biggest what ifs, I mean, for me, what if Biggie did not die and we got the commission album that we were supposed to get with Hove?
All minds are connected to what if people didn't die, pretty much. Like, what if Pac and Big didn't die? Like, how different the climate would have been. Like, what would Hove's career have been if Big was still number one that whole time? Because he was going to be number one that whole time.
Yeah, I still think he would have had a massive career. I don't know if it would have been the same, but at the same time, like the commission would have happened. They would have had that group, and I wonder,
he would have went off, like, because he would have been next to Big.
Yeah, I still wonder certain things, like, I don't know, like, of course he's used so many of his lines throughout his career. I mean, if you don't want to get into like. Man, but even that one's a sad one because I was about to say, what if we got that Tribe and Outkast album we were supposed to get, and before Fife passed away? But that's another one that's linked to death. Yeah.
I'm like, all of my what ifs are just like, what if Big L had lived? You know, like you know what I mean? Shit. So many.
I guess people will be like CRS. What if the CRS album came out and The story that Lupe tells about CRS is very funny to me, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
There's
if
a lot of
people heard it.
There's a lot of those like vault albums that like,
Yeah.
what if Detox came out or so, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I'm sure another what if for people is like this Cole and Kendrick album that we're probably never gonna get.
Oh, that's on my list of biggest what ifs. What if Cole and Kendrick had actually did that and stopped teasing us?
Remember
they dropped that Black Friday Lucy's where they did each other.
Yes.
Kendrick left the earth.
Yeah, and that was a big what if. Like, but remember that era, like right after Watch the Throne came out, and everybody wanted to tease that they were doing the joint albums. Everybody wanted to act like they were collabing with somebody,
Yeah,
and
it's pretty nasty.
but yeah, there are a few of those collab albums where I think people have done music and they just never dropped. Like, supposedly there's a chance in Childish Gambino joint album somewhere could not come out for like publishing reasons, but yeah, that's a what if for me as well too.
Yeah. Bunch of what ifs. Tyrone Kidd says, I'm disappointed. We talk about freestyles in East Coast, but not mentioning Jadakiss and Fabulous. I was spelling that wrong for years. Fabolous. LOL. Shout out to Tyrone. Yeah, no, we got to mention Kiss. We Gonna Make It is in my top 5 hip hop songs of all time. If I had to make a list of hip hop songs, like that one is guaranteed on there. That song is just, that's another if when it comes on, I have to rap it no matter what, because it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, one of the we talk about how great Meth and Redman are at like just like smoothly transitioning between each artist and getting the bars off. Like, nah, man, Styles and Jadakiss on that record they're at a different level, man.
And we were talking about hip hop moments. We didn't talk about Locks and Dipset versus
Locks in Madison Square Garden is like one of the greatest hip hop moments ever.
That Jadakiss, when that energy that he was on that night is like we've never seen anything like that in hip hop.
Amazing, man. No, Kiss is a legend, man. Kiss is one of the greatest rappers ever. Fabulous is one of those guys like mixtapes. Like, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves because so many people know of the mixtapes, and like if you're not up on like those, I think it'd be easy to be like, oh, he didn't have that great of a career, because his commercial stuff, it did well, but I feel like some of his best music is from the mixtapes.
Definitely. And now when Money, Power, Respect came out, and man, that was a different time. At that time, DMX was everything to me. He was my number one rapper. Destroying Life, Money, Power, Respect comes out, and like these guys rapping hard. Lil Kim's on the hook. DMX comes in with a fire ass verse. I'm like, oh, these Locks guys are crazy. And then they, went on to do some amazing things. So yeah, but we will never forget about Jadakiss and Fab. He'd be wilding. I don't know.
Fab is, I think, he despite some of the other stuff that he's been accused of and like some of the craziness, but he's one of those guys that. He's another one at the time period when he dropped. There were a lot of people trying to rap like him, man. Lupe has admitted before he popped and before he turned into who he was trying to rap like Fab.
Yeah, that Punchline era that started happening with Fab and Banks and Paul Kane and all those guys, like totally different time. The homie Tyrone Kidd also says Jada versus Beanie had New York and Philly at each other. Yeah, those were some scary times.
Come on, man.
They're talking big talk.
Nah, man. When that first album came out, and he this was right after the whole record dropped, and Jada put out the "Put your hands up." Nah, fuck that. Put your hands down.
Yeah, no, Jada was a shark at that time. He was ready for the smoke all the time. D-Lo Diggs says, "I gotta ask, favorite mixtape of all time."
That's tough.
That's a whew.
That is tough.
Favorite mixtape of all.
That's tough.
That's a tough one.
It's technically a cheat because it's one of his bigger artist albums, but it is a mixtape. If you're reading this, it's too late. It's one of the best mixtapes to me because it has such commercial success, and of course his debut mixtape is what put him on. Like, that's the thing. Like, Drake wouldn't be Drake without that first mixtape that really put him on. Which is, I mean, it's not really his first mixtape, but it's the one he's known for. But yeah, if you're reading this, is one of my, it's probably my favorite Drake album, and it's a mixtape.
Mine too. Yeah. Mine too. Quinn Miller was going crazy. Shout out to Quinn Miller.
I don't know.
The Quinn Miller tracks are crazy.
Yeah, no.
I got energy. Got a lot of enemies.
Man, no, that
Quinn
album,
Miller was writing.
that album is fire. I don't know if I would say it's the best mixtape of all time, but it's pretty high on my list. As a Lupe fan, like Revenge of the Nerds is like is up there. Enemy of the State is another really good Lupe mixtape. Wale got some great.
Enemy of the State is crazy.
Wale got some great mixtapes. Mixtape About Nothing is legendary for me. Like we talked about, 1999 is up there for me as well.
1999 might be mine.
Yeah, I don't remember which Joey mixtape has Hillary Swank on it, which is one of my favorite Joey records. That's just too many mixtapes. That's a very hard question, man.
Yeah, that's a hell of a hard.
Because I'll dig way into the vote with like stuff like people are not really listening to, and like man, this stuff that I loved. Like, yeah.
Papicasso, trademark. Papicasso says, please give your opinion on ageism in hip hop and how it holds the genre back. By the way, I love Lupe, but he still has me blocked on Twitter. What you did to Lupe?
He was out there debating Lupe.
What you did on Lupe?
No, we are blanking. Mood music needs to be brought up in the conversation.
Oh yeah,
well.
definitely.
Mood music was huge. I think we've gotten a little bit away from ageism. Like before, it used to be considered like whack if you were in your 40s and still rapping. But there's so many guys that are still rapping and making great music. Like we talked about Nas. Like Nas is on the run of his career, and he's heading to be 50 soon. Like Hov still gets his flowers. I mean, it just depends on what the subject matter is. Like if you are like 40 and you still trying to make snap music, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's definitely still out there. More probably on like the mainstream level, because like they don't let older people like get their shit off. But I think that that older generation has figured out how to navigate this in a better way. A lot of them are on tour, like LL Cool J and the Roots are going on that tour.
Yeah.
They're going to be on a lot of dates. So Souls of Mischief they're about to finish up a 93 date tour to commemorate their album 93 to Infinity coming out in 1993. Salt and Pepper has been on tour for like the last 15 years. They never stop going on tour. I think like there's a generation, and Nas, of course, there's a generation that figured it out. They know their fan base. They know exactly what it is, and they don't have to mix and mingle with the younger generation. They don't have to be at Rolling Loud. We're not going to see Nas at Rolling Loud. We're not going to see.
No,
you know what I mean? Like,
no.
So.
Yeah, no, I think that like I said, it's gotten better. There are still people that are like younger guys that are like, I'm not trying to hear anything from these old heads. But
definitely,
I think that our legends are treated better than they were before. I mean, just look at certain guys that are still around that are respected, like the way Busta is respected, the way Busta is still around and doing cool things. Yeah, it's gotten better.
Yeah, it's still bad, but you know that's life. Alexander says Lupe ain't looking for that legit Daigo rematch though.
I like to see it, man. I don't know. I don't know if Lupe's gotten into Street Fighter 6, but I like to see it.
I'm sure he's probably out there. Chaos Control says top hip hop moments for sure got to be Jada at the Versus. It was legendary. Yep, we talked about it.
Yep.
Homie Meet Norma says I pledge allegiance to hip hop. Happy 50th. Also, don't F with the Alabama boat captain unless you get enough people. Jeez Louise.
That was definitely crazy. Twitter was having a blast with it. We got a lot of very funny memes and a lot of very funny moments out of this. People were going crazy. We got a very corny joke on Raw of commentary trying to use it as a reference, and I was just like,
seriously?
No, you didn't hear that?
I did not.
Yeah, it was during Raw, and I was like, yeah, you couldn't have sounded any more white.
It was Corey Taylor. What's his name? Corey Guns? No, it's not Corey Guns.
Corey Guns doing commentary for Raw. Sounds fucking hilarious.
It's not Corey Guns.
Corey Guns doing commentary.
Word of my llama, I'm out of my llama, being like, wait, what are you talking about, bro?
No, I mean,
Corey Graves is his name.
Corey Graves. But speaking of Wayne, you gotta give Wayne his credit.
Oh
Wayne had
we can't talk about hip hop without talking about Lil Wayne. I used to play the Hot Boy album till that shit burned down, man.
Man, when we were just talking about
Tuesdays and Thursdays, man, come on.
When we were just talking about Juvie, and I was just like, how back that thing up was a cultural reset for me, and like just for the culture in general, like nah. But
honestly, even before that, because when Ha came out, it was like, yo, this is different.
Juvie is another one. He's a legend. But yeah. Wayne with Corey Guns on 6'7" is definitely a banger. I remember what Millie did when it dropped as well. Everybody was trying to jump on that Billy beat.
Oh my God, Phil! Oh,
it was crazy.
God. At minimum, 85 different versions of this song.
It was crazy, but I don't think it was Corey Graves. I actually think it was
Kevin McHaleson.
Kevin McHaleson, just butchering these guys, man. I think it was Wade that tried to make the joke.
Oh, Wade Barrett. Okay.
I think it was Wade that tried to make it. I can't remember exactly a line, but I was sitting there like, no, please don't.
Don't make that. Homeboy Shawtown Spurs says, Phil, did you see the White Sox are doing a mini doc on their logo's impact on hip hop for the 50th birthday? So what's more kind of cap? Hove with the Yankee cap or NWA with the White Sox cap? That's a good question.
NWA had the Raiders hat. Wasn't Sox hat.
Yeah.
I mean, I know like some of them wore Sox hat, but yeah, Raiders.
I made that Yankee hat more famous than the Yankee game. Come on, like.
It might be Hove.
Yeah.
Just because of like his exposure and his reach is kind of bigger than NWA's was, but like that Raiders cap was huge at the time.
Everybody was wearing Raiders caps and Raiders starter jackets. Come on.
Yeah, I would say honestly, Chance did more for the Sox hat than anybody.
Yeah.
And and to answer your question, I did see that they're making that mini doc because I saw Fake Sure Drive was sharing the clip from it. Fake Sure Drive.
Is it out? I'd like to see that.
I don't know if it's out yet, but I know that the whoever runs their account has said that they're included on it. Yeah. I guess my answer is Hove. Hove with the Yankee hat. I swear we feel like the Hove Avengers on here.
This is the Hove Ventures episode 1000%.
But I do think that he, just for his exposure, just how big he is, it's a little different. But that NWA and just their chokehold on the world at one point, not just black people, just like on the world, bro. It just was different.
I mean, they were like on the news. People were stomping on their CDs outside. Like life was different.
White parents had their kids. They had to get in the lectures because they was trying to wear the Raiders hats. They was trying to rap the lyrics, man. It was crazy.
That the NWA had a time where like people were genuinely scared of them.
Yeah, but I am interested in that documentary. I'm sure Chance is probably included because Chance did so much for the Sox hat. They gave my man an endorsement at some point, and he made like custom Sox hats. Like, Chance. I don't like how people have like downplayed Chance's run. I think it's whack.
Is smart as hell because that happened, and then he said, I probably should just make my own hats. And now he just makes $1 million.
He's got like the hats with the threes on it. Like,
smart. Genius. When Acid Rap came out, before we get off Chance, that also was a time like hip hop was in a great. I loved what hip hop was doing, like TDE, like all that stuff was destroying. And then Chance comes out with Acid Rap, and like I would play that album like 5 to 10 times a day, like just like back to back. It was over. Just run it back again.
It was huge that year. I'm sure I've told you this story, but like being like overseas and hearing people singing Cocoa Butter Kisses was like, nah, he's out of here.
Yeah,
he's out of here.
Yeah,
like being overseas and hearing people doing that, I'm like, yo, he's gone. He's on another planet.
That next tape is hard. Internet Tape too. That Vic Mental one. That's a really dope one.
Yes, or sort of.
Tyrone Kidd says, "Shout out to Nate Dogg. Wasn't a hit unless he's featured. Can't talk about hip hop without talking about Nate.
Hip hop.
Can't talk about West Coast hip hop without talking about Nate Dogg. Everybody, the Regulators is probably up there too on like most well known hip hop songs because let Regulators play. Everyone is rapping.
Bam. Nate Dogg was one of those guys that made the craziest lyrics sound good because he would just get on there and sing it with like this great voice. Like some of the stuff he was singing, I'm like, yo.
We all know his "Ain't No Fun" verse. We
Yes.
cannot forget it.
Yes.
Can't say half of the stuff he said on this podcast, I think.
Every time I think of like Ludacris and the run Ludacris had on, and when Hoes came out, and I think of just like how matter of factly Nate Dogg sings, I got hoes, I got hoes.
It's right to it, man. I mean, what else do you want?
Rest in peace to Nate Dogg, man.
Now, every day is a holiday. Shout out to Van Twinblade with another super chat. Everybody with super chats today. Y'all are dope. Rage Against the Machine. Zach's Rhymes. Tom being a wizard on guitar. Yes. Rage Against the Machine. Hip hop band. Legendary. Zach De La Rocha getting them doing that BBC thing and them saying, please don't cuss. Them getting all the way. I don't know why they let them play Killing in the Name on a TV show and say, don't be Rage Against the Machine on this song that is very Rage Against the Machine. They get down to it. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me is the lyric. Like, what you guys
exactly?
You set yourself up for this. Like, what were you guys? It had to be a publicity stunt because no way anybody could be this dumb. Or like they never heard the song before. The song says "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me." Unbelievable. Yeah. Shout out to Rage Against the Machine. They the way that they like Wu-Tang tells stories of being on tour with Rage Against the Machine and thinking that they weren't going to, it wasn't going to be anything because they think that their fan bases are different, but the fans accepting them because Rage Against the Machine's a fucking hip hop band, so of course they would.
Yeah.
Van Twinblade says, and lastly, Fight for the Fallen for Hawaii. Yeah, the stuff that's happened in Hawaii, I saw the pictures
very
and stuff,
sad.
and I'm like, yo, like the elements are crazy, bro. Like we're dealing with some stuff right now, like in Oakland, there's some stuff on fire somewhere here, but I went outside yesterday and it smelled like metal outside, and I was like, this air quality is just god awful.
Yeah. But hopefully, well wishes to everybody in Maui.
Yeah.
And of course anybody that's injured, well wishes to them. I'm not sure what like the death toll or anything is. I don't want to speak out of turn on it. But hopefully, everybody is safe.
The elements are so scary because there's nothing you can't fight that fire, man. Like that shit's gonna burn. It's like just like me living in the Bay Area and earthquakes. I'm like, when an earthquake hits, like, where the fuck am I gonna go, you guys? Like under the door hinge or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's scary, so I just don't think about it. Our homeboy Eloquent says, y'all see Ospreay change the US title to the UK title? I did see that.
I seen he's been cutting up ever since he beat Kenny Omega, man, and I've loved it. I've loved all the trolling he's doing. That guy's on a run. He's one of those guys that I know, like from some people, like the conversation for Wrestler of the Year is pretty much between Kenny Omega and Roman, but Will Ospreay has been having a tremendous year, man. He's one of those guys.
Ospreay is up there for sure. He has to be top 3 if he is.
Yeah, he should be in the conversation for Wrestler of the Year.
I mean, he's had 2 of the best matches of the year. It's going to be hard to beat that. Our homeboy Eloquent says, LL Cool J 4321, illest posse cut of all time. I might have to agree just because of what's connected to it. Like when young sons fantasize the bar, get your little shorty with the big mouth, the bank is closed. It's like, what was going on here? There was a lot going on, but the beat, the rappers, the time, like everything kind of connected to it. 4321 is super.
Yeah, it's up there. Big fan of also Hit 'Em High from Space Jam soundtrack.
What's the Rocky cut? One Train.
Yeah.
One Train is crazy.
Yeah.
Busby also says today is the anniversary of Kendrick's Control verse. That literally stopped the hip hop world. Oh, Busby, I forgot about when Control came out. That was
how could you forget about that?
Crazy.
How could you forget about that? Reservoir Dogs is another posse cut that I just thought of, like Hove, DMX, like Locks. Also.
I mean, Scenario. You said
Scenario as well
when you were there. That I was just I put on Tribe Called Quest Essentials, and that came on, and I played it loud, and it hit so hard.
But yeah, how can you forget Control and just everybody trying to make their response record? And
People were mad at Kendrick.
Everybody trying to get their records off my, it was a lot going on.
And not for nothing, Big Sean and JLX spit, but Kendrick was. I remember. I think I was working for Sprint at the time, and my homie Este, who I mentioned earlier, he also worked at Sprint, and we listened to it, and we were just like, "Yo, this is crazy."
Yeah, yeah.
Johnny also says Jey Uso preparing for his UFC debut in December.
All right, man.
Vergov says, shout out to Vergov for a member for 2 months. Shoot, I'm late. Happy Saturday. Y'all are awesome. And Alexander,
never too late, man.
Alexander says, when I met you last night, baby, before you opened up your gap, I had respect for you, lady. Now I take it all back. Like I said,
rest in peace to Nate.
The whole thing. Yeah, that's actually the bottom of the super chats. We talked a lot about hip hop, and it's been amazing. It's been one of my favorite podcasts. If I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, let me see if we've got some humper chats. I'm sure we do. See how far we go back.
And hey, Nate Dogg, hey, smoke weed every day. Like that's like an iconic line that's gonna hit forever. Nobody will ever beat it.
Let's see. We got a few from Tony P. Wrestling fans are some of the weirdest, and especially AEW fans. That is the only wrestling fan base that has the sky is falling moment every week or complains when they are giving something nice. Yeah, when I start to see a lot of tags getting called, I get the bitching about All In having tag matches. So more of the talent shows. So more of the talent on the show would start, and vice versa. If it was a bunch of singles matches, they would bitch about that, say they could have done more tag matches. He also says, am I in the minority that feels the women picked for the 4-way at the All In tournament was the right call? Could we have gotten good matches if we had Willow, Athena, Ruby, etc. in the tourney or at the 4-way they were in? Yes, but at what cost? I agree. I do think that these were very obvious. The winners for all of these matches feel very obvious, but I think every woman that they're going to use in a match are the right call. I think Saraya belongs in a match because it's London. Tony is one of the best champions that they've had in that division, so she belongs in it. Sheeta is the ace of that division, so she belongs there. And I think Britt is going to be the last one. And Britt was one of the biggest stars to come out of that division, so I think she also deserves the chance to represent the division at All In. Yeah. I mean, yeah. What can you say? I don't know. Whoops. Did I lose some of these?
He lost it.
No, it's just I'm trying to get all of them in front of me. More from Tony P says, if you want to build those women up to be seen as regular, credible challengers, having them lose in those matches won't help them. The AEW women roster has no real mid-tier or clear new credible challengers, some of which is a problem of their own doing. Yeah, I agree, and I think that was the thing that I felt like when people are like, where's Willow? Why is she in this match? And I think it's because you don't want to hand Willow another loss so soon after the Athena match.
But she should be in the match, though, at All In, is the point I think that they should get to. But yes, I also agree. If these are the women that we're going with, we don't need to be sacrificing Willow and Athena and Stat and Mercedes and all these people in order to get there. Just like set up the match like this. I don't really like the way that they set it up, and I think it's just.
Yeah, they
could have thrown in like one other person to kind of throw off that it's not going to be Britt, Saraya, and Tony, but we were going to get there. We knew that Saraya was at least going to be on here because all she's talked about since she came to AEW was Wembley. Like every time she says something out loud, she's like, Wembley Stadium, I can't wait to be there, Tony Khan. Are you going to book me?
And it's just like you can hear under her breath, I am going to be there, right? Like, so yeah, I figured she was going to be on this card. And I mean, she deserved a spot. I think the way people talk about her online is very nasty as well. Like I if you just don't agree with some of her life choices, that's whatever. But like making it personal and like that kind of stuff is weird to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. More from Tony P. Who do you think Jay could make her return? To challenge Chris and All Out. If Mickey will be a part of All In, No, and if Mickey will be a part of All In, seeing she will be in London too, uh, I will let her cook with Emmy or Athena if they can get in it. I haven't seen this Mickey thing you're talking about, but I do think that that would be a good way to get another woman on the card to have a match with Mickey. I'm not sure if they'll do that. I do think Emi Sakura belongs on this card. This Wembley, like when you think of like the history attached to Wembley and Freddie Mercury, she has a Freddie Mercury gimmick. She should be on this card, man. And of course, she's had her campaign with the hashtag Emmy for Wembley. I've seen other wrestlers tweeting it. I've seen other fans tweeting it. I definitely think Emi Sakura, even if it's just a 0 hour match, I think she belongs on this card.
Most definitely. She's earned it beyond, that stuff that you're saying. I think that she's had an incredible run of matches every time that she's presented there. And it sounds like she's a big help in general, just with the women's division. So she deserves it. As far as Jade, I think Jade should be on this all-in card. I just don't know if she will be.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop there with Humper Chats because I think that's a good place to get into kind of I don't want to say All In Gate, but just some of the discourse around All In.
All In Gate.
uh, people were unhappy this week. Initially people were unhappy that we weren't getting a lot of announcements for All In right away, and within the week we've gotten a lot of matches announced. We of course got our main event in Max versus Adam Cole, which I think most of us, if we were paying attention, could guess that was going to be the main event. We also got a nice little wrinkle in the storyline that they're now challenging for the ROH Tag Team Championship on 0 hour. I don't know what to make of that. I think they're going to do something interesting story wise. I think it's smart in a way to have your hottest angle also on 0 hour because it'll get people to not just watch Zero, but also watch by the pay per view. It's a good teaser because if something does happen with them in the tag match, that is going to get people that are watching it for free. Like, man, I want to see what happens next. Let me go buy the pay-per-view. Now, I'm sure people are going to take this go, why is your champion on 0 hour, blah, blah, blah. But I don't want to be the let it play out guy, but I feel like they're going to do some interesting stuff story-wise there with that. So I think that's smart. We got the announcement that Swerve and AR Fox will be wrestling Sting and Darby as well. I think that's That's a massive deal. Super happy for AR Fox. This is a guy was not at a major company, and now he's gone from not being at a major company to being signed, being part of one of the hottest angles at this company, wrestling at one of their biggest shows of the year. Not even just one, their biggest show of the year, and wrestling a legend and Sting. Like, super happy for him, man. Super happy for Swerve as well.
I remember, and it was WrestleMania weekend 2010 in Atlanta. No, 2011 was in Atlanta. WrestleMania weekend in Atlanta. I watched the Dragon Gate USA show, and there was a guy on there that blew my mind in 2011. He did a kickflip, backflip off the ring post. His name was AR Fox. That day, I knew that this guy was incredible. From then, 2011, cooked. He never stopped cooking. He went into being a coach and training people. We talked about Austin Theory on this show. Trained that guy who ended up having his dream match with his hero. But all you would ever hear about people that know AR Fox is like, he deserves an opportunity. We hope he gets an opportunity. We hope it happens. We hope he gets a contract. We hope all these things happen. So he comes on an AEW and he cooks because it's AR Fox. Of course, we knew he was going to cook. And then when he got introduced to the Mogul Embassy, it was another great thing. They did the video with Nick Wayne a few weeks ago. All these moments have been amazing. But for him and Swerve to be announced at a show that's going to have 80,000 people and they're going to stand across the ring from fucking Sting is it's like, people don't understand, Phil. Sting is going to be so over in the UK, like dumb over. Like, Sting is like, there's a couple wrestlers like in history that like have transcended and they're like bigger than wrestling. They're like known figure, like, a Rey Mysterio mask, Hogan, of course. He fucking sucks, but There's some wrestlers that are like bigger than that, and Sting face like you cannot know anything about wrestling, but you'll know Sting's face paint, you'll know Sting, you'll know something about him, and that's how those UK people are going to be rabid for Sting, and for our guys to be on the other side of that. And shout out to Darby Allin too. Our guys to be on the other side of that. Swerve, who people talked a lot. He tweeted that thing this week that people talked bad about him when he was in WWE, when he got released from WWE. People were saying he was down, he shouldn't have came to AEW. When he came to AEW, people were like, what are they doing with Swerve? Saying all the stuff. But for him to cook, and now he's in a match across the ring from the legendary Sting, and 80,000 people are going to watch this. I'm over the moon, man.
Yeah.
This is great. This is amazing.
Yeah, I believe this is the best stuff Swerve has done with AEW by far. This stuff he's doing with Darby is really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's far and away the best thing he's done at any major company as well. Like you can get into like the Lucha Underground stuff and the indie stuff that he's done, but like I feel like the stuff that's getting exposure that's on TV, like this is some of the best stuff he's ever done.
This is it. I wouldn't like the Lucha Underground stuff was dope, but he was kill shot, so it was different. Like, this is like Swerve. This is him.
Right.
His presentation, his everything. Like this is it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure like the niche stuff you can get into, like the Defy stuff or like the stuff he was doing in UK. But like I said, for stuff that's getting exposure and it's on TV, like I think this is going to be some of the stuff he's remembered the most for. And so I think it's great that he's getting this match. Out of the other,
Phil, are you concerned? Because I saw you going to war.
I wasn't going to war with anybody.
On Twitter.
I was going to war with anybody. But so. Just to get through the last few announced match, the women's match, of course, we talked about. That's going to be the Fatal 4-Way for the women's title. But also, Young Bucks versus FTR is official. FTR laid the challenge down on Collision, which was awesome. And then the Bucks had a match, which I thought was a solid match with the Hardy Boys. Much better than their Double or Nothing match.
Yep.
And then they accepted the challenge, and we got to stare down. I think that is going to be a big match. It hasn't been made official.
They keep billing this as the third match, and I don't like the first two matches are. Like the first match was a pandemic match, and then the second match was on Dynamite. Like this feels like the first official match to me, at least.
It's the third match. I get the difference is that FDR feels like a bigger deal now, so it feels like they're kind of like on equal footing now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's official. I'm assuming Joe versus Punk is going to become official. Joe has challenged. Yeah, Joe has challenged him on Collision. And like I was wondering why they didn't do the one-on-one match initially at United Center, but the way that they've built this up to get back to the singles match, they had the tournament match, which was kind of a teaser for a bigger match. I think the idea of doing one of the, not even one of, probably the biggest feud from ROH. On such a big stage like that is huge. I get some people are like, oh, this is niche stuff, like, but like having that feud and having something that meant so much to ROH on All In and what ROH meant to All In, like the infrastructure they used for All In, just the fact that like ROH was so tied to All In, it makes so much sense to use it there. So I'm in. I think it's gonna be dope.
Yeah, when Samoa Joe started cutting that promo on Collision and he started getting into it, and I was like, where's this going? And then when he was like, actually, I'm about to whoop your ass at Wembley, I was like, yeah, no, I totally want to see that. Like, it really hits. It makes sense. Like, they had the match a few weeks ago to tell the story, but like, if you're a Ring of Honor aficionado, ROH young boy like I am, man, like, this is huge, man. Like, and it makes sense, and like, Punk is potentially gonna be having the fucking world title match the next week and shit. So like,
yeah, I think it's huge. And I mean, even if you don't know the history and you're not big on the ROH stuff, like Joe has been on a tear with AEW, and I think it makes sense for him to be on this card,
especially if the World Championship's gonna be on the line too, to add some prestige to it.
Yeah, I mean, it is it annoying that we're could we have probably got Omega versus Punk? Sure. Could we have gotten like Punk versus Jay White? Sure. But I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at that match. That's kind of all of the official ones that they've been built. There's other stuff that they're building too that I can speculate that I think is going to be on this card. I think we're going to get a trios match. I think House of Black is probably wrestling. I'm sure there's going to be something with the Acclaim because of the way they're building it on TV, and they're doing the stuff with Billy. So that's not an official one, but I that's one of those that it seems like they're building the story for.
What felt like the most egregious thing for people this week was the rumored Kenny Omega
More
match.
egregious than the other rumored match.
More egregious than that.
The other the other rumored match, of course, and the stuff that they're also building on TV is the Jericho stuff, which seems like it's going to build to Jericho versus Will Ospreay. That was the report, of course, that came out. There's a Fightful Select report on it. That hasn't been announced as well, but that is the rumor that will be the one-on-one match for Will Ospreay. It also ties into Will changing the U.S. title to the United Kingdom title as well. So we could be seeing him defend the United Kingdom title at Wembley, which sounds insane. But do I wish it was a different matchup? Yeah, but that's the rumor right now. And of course,
connecting them dots with him renaming it the UK title, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so, as you said, the other egregious thing that people were up in arms with this week is that the report is that Kenny Omega will be a part of a trios match. It will be Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, and Kota Ibushi going up against the Bullet Club Gold, and that would be
Bang Bang Bang.
Yeah, that would be Juice Robinson, Jay White, and Konosuke Takeshita. People were not happy about this match. So, of course, we got that report, and then like maybe a few hours later, we got the report that they were in talks to do Bryan versus Kenny Omega. But
broken arm.
Yeah, but of course, Bryan got hurt, so that got thrown out the window. And I saw a lot of people that were kind of like, all right, well, why? This is what happened when you tear up scripts right away, and you tear up scripts right before one of your biggest shows. Like, guys, I'm pretty sure the reason this match was changed because I do think we were going to get Kenny versus Bryan, but I think because he got hurt, and then they were trying to see what were the updates afterwards, and then once it was announced that he needed surgery, and they put the rod in his arm and screws, he's not going to be ready. So we gotta pivot. I do not understand. And this gets into you think I was in war with people. I get wanting the singles match. I do not understand being that upset about this trios match. And of course you saw
when you named off the people in it, I'm like, what? That match is going to be fire. What do you mean?
these are massive stars in this match. This is not. It's not like this is like nothing. I mean. The fact that Kenny is back tagging with Hangman is a big deal. That is a story that they've been telling for about 3 years.
And also Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the golden lovers that we like.
That's not like small. And the point that I tried to make to people is no, Kenny wrestling the Bullet Club and a Bullet Club iteration led by Jay White is a big deal. It is a huge deal, and I get if people are like...
Didn't he talk a lot of trash about Kenny Omega, like his whole New Japan run?
Bro, not just that Kenny Omega tried to recruit this man, and he turned on him, and decided to join Chaos briefly, but then, after Kenny was out, he took over as leader of Bullet Club. He took his spot at the Ring of Honor New Japan show in the main event of against Okada. Mm-hmm. He was there at Forbidden Door when Kenny couldn't be there. You could go to all of these things that are like, if you know moments. Him calling himself the catalyst of pro wrestling and saying that basically your company wouldn't be what it is unless I was a catalyst. I have kickstarted all of this stuff. No, he's been popping shit for a minute, and
this is like they've actually been building this for like a couple years,
and that's what I said. And people were like, "Oh, you're making up your own headcanon, and you're just making up dots to connect." I'm like, "No, this guy has. Even if he didn't plan to go here with this storyline with Jay White, even if there was nothing planned, no, there's plenty of material to use between these guys. There's like 5 years worth of material here. Yeah. Even if they weren't in the ring wrestling, there's plenty of stuff that Jay White has been doing for years that you can use. There's plenty of like inside baseball stuff that you can use.
Right. And AEW fans are going to get it because they're AEW fans.
Yeah. So people that are like, oh, trios match, that's a terrible use of him. This is a very New Japan way to book shows, and they book shows close together. We just seen this with like all the G1 stuff and how close they book the shows. And their way of doing it is usually they'll set up the big multi-man matches to lead to a singles match later. So that was also the part of the report is that the reason Takeshita's in a match is because out of this match we're going to get Takeshita versus Omega at All Out, and so that makes sense to me. If you're going to do this multi-man match the week before and you want a way to also build towards the pay-per-view next week and get people that bought this pay-per-view to go, hey, this was kind of cool. What are they going to do next with that? Why not do that? That makes perfect sense to me. And again, that's kind of the model that New Japan does as well. So I'm not really sure why people are so upset about it, but I also think that people have set their expectations so high for this show. I guess I'll ask you because I have my thoughts on it, but I don't know what you think of it. Before this turned into this massive promotional thing, selling 80,000 tickets, it being compared to like WrestleMania, being called the biggest wrestling show of ever, and all of these records and things. What did you think All In London was going to be?
I didn't think they were gonna get 80,000 people. I thought they would do 50K. Honestly, like I thought they would put up at least 50, and I maybe thought the main event would be Kenny and either Ospreay or Okada. And so I like how somebody had tweeted you that the Bryan story, he beat Okada and then the natural progression would be for him to wrestle Kenny Omega, which I thought like, yeah,
me.
like
I tweeted that.
You tweeted that, yeah. Great. Whoever tweeted that, shout out to Phil Lindsay. He's a good guy out there. Great analogy. Yeah, that feels like that was going to be the natural progression. So that's the first thing that people have to remember is that we were going to get probably Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson at this show. But I feel like they sold the show already. You can announce anything that you want, but I like the announcements, but the women's match.
So, yeah. Here's the thing. When they announced this, because again, if you want to give me credit for something, because I'll take it. If you remember, you were sitting next to me in a press scrum for Supercard of Honor, and I asked Tony Khan, hey, the 5-year anniversary for All In is coming up this year. Do you have any plans to celebrate that event? And he said, and he had that look on his face where I knew he wanted to answer, but he couldn't give me an answer just yet. He was like, we'll have something coming up. And, of course, then we got the All In London announcement. And so I've always felt like this show has been a way to celebrate All In and celebrate the anniversary of it. Especially
it's called All In.
Yeah, especially when I saw the announcement is so close to All Out. You've got your pay-per-view that is considered your biggest pay-per-view of the year a week later, not even a whole week later. And so I always felt like, all right, I get people want these dream matches. I get people want this to be like this big super card because it's going to be in front of a big crowd. But I don't see how that's reasonably possible when you're going to book another show a week later. You're not going to run out and blow your load in this show. And I get why people think you should because it's a massive show. But you've got another show to book the 6 days later, and people are going, "Oh well, it's worth it. Just use all the matches there." Yeah, you can say that as a fan, but as somebody that has to put these things together, and you have business to take care of, no, you're not going to put all of the matches on this card. You're going to use this show to also promote your next pay-per-view because it's 6 days away, and so I've said that people are like, well, you can't use that as an excuse. It's literally not an excuse. It's the fact of the matter. You cannot just decide I'm going to book this massive super card in the middle of August and then go, all right, well, that thing we do every year that's considered our tentpole pay-per-view? Oh, we're just going to book nothing afterthought matches for that. No, you can't do that. You sold tickets to both these shows. Yes, you sold more tickets to one, but again, you still have to promote both.
Yeah. I think people are the number of people in the 80,000. I think that's what gets into people's brains. They start to get into WrestleMania mode, like, oh, it's going to be 80,000, so we need this super show. But as Phil's saying, this is more of a celebration, and it's like it's for the UK crowd. Like it's like this is like honestly, they could just give up like AEW's best hits because they're celebrating the history of All In, And these UK fans, all they want is a really fun AEW show. Like the shit that we be talking about over here and dream matches and one-on-one with this, they don't care about that. They're like, yo, give us all the best AEW shit. Give us Max and Adam Cole in the main event for the AEW World Championship, and we're gonna have a good time over here. Like I think people are kind of confusing what it is. Like All In and Forbidden Door, completely different thought processes in putting together those cards, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's clear as day with the way that All In has been promoted, with just the way certain things about it have come out last minute. Like, we didn't even know it was going to be a pay-per-view until like 2 weeks ago. We didn't even know how we were going to be able to watch it. So, I think that kind of says everything about what All In is. I think people have, like, both fans and the way I've seen certain wrestlers talk about it, I just think that people have, like, seen that number for the crowd, and they've put so much importance on the show that I feel like it's kind of, I don't want to say that people have made up their minds that this is the more important show than All Out, but I think some of it is the promotion for it, but I think people have gotten lost in the sauce a little bit. Like the hype is just gotten through the roof, bro. It is like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous at this point, but also people that are like, oh, this needs to be a memorable show, so you should put as much on it as possible. It's going to be a memorable show regardless. It's going to be it's in front of their largest crowd to date. Regardless of what you think, the hottest storyline in the company right now is this Max and Adam stuff. They're paying off that stuff on this card. So they're not using that stuff for the pay-per-view afterwards. They're using it for this card. So
it's funny. WWE went to Puerto Rico and their champion was at home in America.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's why I'm like, I just, again, I don't want to turn this into, well, people are fantasy booking and, they're not letting this play out. But I do think people are overreacting in some ways. One of the things I saw a lot of, because people were on homie from the UK's neck, the homie from What Culture, Sedgwick. I got his criticisms. His criticisms are valid. I totally agree with all of them. Not really. But his expectations and his criticisms are valid. And I think there's this thing with Twitter where if you say anything about something that other people are excited about, it's like, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you complaining? Why are you tweeting that? It's like, well, it's just his opinion, man. You don't have to agree with him.
Let people have fun.
Yeah, like it's his opinion. You don't have to agree with him. Like it's just and when I was talking to him, I was literally just talking. It wasn't an argument. We're just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And
he wasn't beefing.
Yeah, no, I think people take all of this stuff so very personal. It's like, oh man, you responded to my tweet, you quote tweeted my tweet, I got action. Like, no, it's just a conversation, bro. It's all right. But it is what it is. I just think that everybody needs to kind of chill out. I think people that are excited for this need to chill out. People that are like antsy and anxious about what the show is going to be, chill out. I think we've seen enough at this point where I think it's going to be a good show. And if it isn't a good show, hey, roast this thing on the skewer. Do what you need to do.
And when does AEW like not do good shows though? Big shows. Like you think that this show ain't gonna hit? Come on, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we just went through this with the ROH show, and they put that show together in about a week. Like they got all this stuff out in a week, and that show ended up being a banger. Right. I think this stuff will be fine, man. So it's all right. I think
no panic mode. There's no reason to panic.
Yeah, and I think Cedric, like people getting upset, like Cedric is an AEW fan, and so I think his annoyance is like, I'm excited for this and I want this to be good. And it's like, when people are passionate about this thing, sometimes it comes out that way. Yeah. So I didn't really see the reason. But again, like when you tweet anything that's considered negative, people get so upset. And it's like, all right, calm down. Like you don't have to like the same thing. You don't have to have the same concerns. You don't have to engage in the discourse. Like you can just see something and not agree with it and keep scrolling. It's cool. Like it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I also think the way that people are getting so up in arms about stuff that is like literally not on TV yet, it's stuff that's reported, it's stuff that we don't even know how they're gonna use it. Because in my mind, I've been saying with the Bullet Club stuff that they're doing, I do think they have a lot of material to mine here, and that's why I felt like, if anything, hey, make that the next feud going for Full Gear and build that up for months. But I didn't even think about, you're probably using this tag match as the way to kick off this feud. Like, yeah, that might be the early way and then you can keep building and go back to it for Full Gear. It's a decent replacement match for Bryan. Is it the Bryan match that we want? No. Is it maybe another one-on-one match that Kenny could have had? No, but at
That's
some
another
point,
story to be told about injuries. Like we could have had
yeah,
Jamie Hayter too. Like there's a bunch of elements that affected what is gonna happen here. You know?
yeah, yeah. I just think people gotta chill out. Some of this
Yeah.
stuff is just not that serious.
Everybody's overreacting for sure. It's gonna be a dope show.
Yeah,
The UK fans are gonna be rabid. They're gonna have an amazing time.
yeah. We know how the UK fans give it up, man. So I think that's gonna be. I think it's gonna be a good show. The stuff that it is announced, I am excited for it. The stuff that's kind of rumored, I'm excited for it. The stuff that they're building that they have not announced, I think people are gonna like.
Young Bucks and FTR, bro. Like they're about to
I think that's gonna be their best match. Honestly,
doo dumb, bro. Come on.
I think that's gonna be their best match. I think they're gonna go out with something to prove in front of that crowd. Yeah, so I'm excited to see where this show goes. It's 2 weeks away.
Mm-hmm.
As I've said before, we will be doing a post show for that. So,
We the ones.
we
Excited.
excited.
Something off of we're gonna move on here. I just wanted to transition. I wanted to think about this before I forgot. Somebody brought Mickey James up earlier in the chat, and I wanted to get your thoughts on Mickey James's husband, Nick Aldis. There's reports coming out that WWE wants him to be a producer instead of a wrestler. How do you feel about that? Do you still feel like Nick Aldis still has some time? I thought he was going to go over there and like get a run. Like I know that they like to do that, like kind of like his age. Right? Remember they tried to make Thunder Rosa into a referee, and like the people that kind of in that area, like they want to get him off of TV first before they get him a job. How do you feel about that?
I mean, if it's a check for him, get your bag.
Yeah.
I think he's got more to offer as a wrestler.
Right.
It's not like he's like in his 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm.
He's got more to offer as a wrestler. I would like to see him do some more stuff. It would have been cool to see him use in some way for All In because he was on the original.
That's kind of why I was connecting it. Yeah.
Yeah. He was in that great match with Cody. But he is a guy that's been around, and he does have like experience, and he does have some stuff that he can contribute as a producer. So that's really his call. If that's what he wants to do, more power to him. I think that's dope.
Right.
As a fan, I do think that there's more he could do as a wrestler.
I don't want him to squander it away because, like, I see like a guy like Scotty 2 Hotty. Like Scotty 2 Hotty is like back on the independence wrestling and stuff, and he was over in WWE for a bunch of years. So I don't want it to be like Aldis comes over here and gives you guys 10 years of his career, and then he's like, actually, I still want to go. And it's like, you should have used the 10 years of the career and go and then go after you're done here. So it's just WWE. Sometimes like there's some home runs I felt like they had. Like I always was like, Nick Aldis is gonna eventually go over there and cook. Like that was always in the back of my mind. And like it's not Bobby Roode. His whole TNA career, I was like, Bobby Roode's gonna eventually go over there and cook, and he never really got off.
He did in NXT, but
yeah.
The main roster stuff never really hit, and he has the injuries. Hopefully he's doing well. I know he had surgery recently. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Nick Aldis stuff. His Impact run ended rather quickly.
It did.
So
I think he had like a 2-month deal or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever he wants to do, if he wants to be a producer, more power to him, man.
Yeah, get that bag, bro. Get that bag.
Yeah. I guess I can slide back into these Humper chats.
Yep.
Before we move on, see from Tony P. He says, they really did Becky and Trish dirty. They can find a way to have Judgment Day everywhere and night on Raw. Yet they're like, hey, Edge, you can get a 20th year welcome in Toronto, and we can't make up an excuse for you. But Trish and Becky to be on SmackDown, nasty work. I agree. I still think their match should have been on the pay-per-view. I think it's unfortunate. We talked about that last week when we talked about SummerSlam. I think their match should have been on the pay-per-view. And given the two women's matches on there, I actually think that match would have fit better on the card.
Yep.
But, it is what it is. Hopefully they circle back to it in some way. But what can you do? Another one from Tony P. So how y'all think Ray and Dom both having singles belts is going to work out? We getting the title for title match, or is Dom losing his belt and goes after the U.S. title, wins it to get Santos versus Dom for the U.S. belt or something else? I don't know. I do think it's cool that both of them have singles belts at the same time. I do think it was cool when they were father and son tag champions as well. People can say what they want about Dom. I think the coolest thing about what Dom is doing is just what Ray managed to do for his son, and the way that he kind of finessed his way back into the company and getting the contract and going, hey, I'm here, but by the way, you're going to give my son this. That's dope. Like, whether you like Dom or not, I think that's dope.
So you do think he deserves to be number 3 on the
No, absolutely.
That's what I think that's what you were saying here, Phil.
Absolutely not. But I don't know where they're going with this. I don't know if they'll ever interact. I do like the stuff that they started with NXT and having Ray endorse Dragon Lee and leading to that match, because this is the most popular luchador of all time, and him giving an endorsement to another lucha is going to make him seem like a big deal, even though we know Dragon Lee can go. We knew him from the New Japan stuff. For a different audience, putting that stamp on him is big.
And Dom's over there doing some numbers in NXT. They're putting up big numbers over here. Shout out to Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, I don't really know what they're gonna if they'll do anything beyond just like walking past each other in the hallway and being like, we both have championships. Because I think they exhausted their feud pretty hard, and I don't know if it's time to relive it already at the moment. And I think that Dom is doing a great job without kind of being connected to his dad. So I don't really know if it's time to run it back.
Yeah, I think they might circle back to it at some point. I can definitely see them doing what you're saying, like interacting in a hallway, interacting in a backstage segment. I need this might be, he might not even understand this reference because he's a young the kid, but I think it would be hilarious if Dom just walked past him and he was like walking in another direction and he's just like singing from across the hall, we made it, we made it, we made it. Like, that'd be fire, man.
With the slow look back. Yes, please, Dominic.
But he probably doesn't. He don't understand that reference. I don't know if he was listening to Supreme Clientele, but
yeah, probably not.
Last one from Tony P. Last before I go to work, I am convinced now that Will and Swerve need to do the "Who the fuck is this?" bit on BTE together, with Swerve not knowing who Will is, and maybe Will trying to convince him they are for different episodes. I'm surprised they haven't interacted at all on BTE, but we don't ever see Swerve on BTE at all. So
right,
it might be just different friend groups. I don't know. See from D-Lo Diggs, day before birthday turn up, listen to them boys. No disrespect to the Briscoes, appreciate you. Going to watch the international GOAT Dirk going into the hall. Also, I think Santos going to go turn heel. Sadly, I actually can see that. I think Santos is something about the way he's hamming up being so proud of being in LWO and so proud of being linked with Ray that feels a little bit fake. I can see him turning heel.
I think he should have been heel originally. I'll never know when they were doing the babyface thing. I was like, but like Santos is such a good heel though. Like I don't really understand what's going there. So I totally could see that happening too.
Yeah. From Bizarro Big L. The time when Afro Man made a video out of Sheriff breaking into his house, and I'm sorry, anytime Beastie Boys come on, I guess I got to do it. And Be Real and Cypress Hill, their tracks with Outkast, Rage Against the Machine hit so hard. No, 1000% on some of those Beastie Boy records. Intergalactic is still massive record for
Beastie
me.
Boys.
Sabotage, Beastie Boys, icons.
Fun hip hop fact: I actually played a show in Bakersfield with Afro Man. I opened up for Afro Man in Bakersfield.
Really?
One time I did, yes.
Did he do Cause I Got High?
Phil, what do you mean? Did he do it because I got high? Of course he did because I got high. That's a song.
Well, yeah, it's probably his biggest record. But yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that video. He's talking about with the sheriff breaking into the home. That's
Mm-hmm.
very funny.
Yeah. Hip hop
Um,
history.
I don't know if you have any more super chats before we move
Yeah.
on.
There's a couple of them. Homie Bergoff says another month and another stupid follow up to the Bloodline. It got so stale. Jay Uso said "F y'all" and left. They might just do Uso versus Uso at Mania.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of our last topics. We'll get into
Yeah.
SummerSlam and the Usos.
Yeah. Chi-Town Spurs also says, I much rather have seen a live in-ring promo segment from the four women than this telegraph tourney. Ty and Anna cut a few lines that was refreshing.
Yeah, I think Ty and Anna got a lot out of that opening segment for Dynamite. I thought that segment went on a little bit long, but I did think that it made those two look good. I think that Garcia came out of it looking good as well. I'm very interested to see what he does next. And man, give 2.0 a tag run.
Yeah.
I thought the stuff that they did promo wise was very, very good.
Yeah, they killed it.
I thought
I
they
hope
were the
they I
best
hope
out
they
of it.
really do get a run after this because they deserve it. They've been like killing it. Like we know that Matt Menard promos after the blood and guts with the bloody these guys are really good. They deserve to have a shot. So I hope coming out of this whole Chris Jericho thing that they
Yeah.
get to do some of this stuff.
Matt Menard. Man, he did a great job in this segment. Again, I think they need to do more as a tag team with him possibly being a mouthpiece for the team.
Yeah.
I would like to see that.
Mm-hmm. Irene C says All In's card was never going to satisfy everyone because either too much talent would be left off the card or some former dream matches wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Chi-Town Spurs also says, as someone who's going to All Out, I gladly trade Takeshita to Omega for that trios match. Let me know, baked beans, people.
Really, I prefer the singles match. Personally, and we'll be at All Out,
here.
so I prefer the singles match. But I do think that triple threat's gonna be. I mean, the six man's gonna be good.
Chi-Town Spurs, definitely find your boys at All Out. Twist of Fate Studio says, very evil Danhausen is the mystery opponent in the BCC versus Kingston versus Cassidy match. It would be quite wonderful. Much love to the PNW, Pacific Northwest. Alexander says, it's fascinating to note which accounts are apologetic about All In being a wrestling carnival show, exactly like the original All In. Meanwhile, All Out, the yearly tentpole, is a week later.
That's basically what I was saying.
It's crazy. Shout out to William Chisholm, very generous super chat. Appreciate you, Will. I love you, brothers, as a public figure. Y'all make me proud to be a black man. When it comes to Mercedes Moné, do y'all see her only doing short-term deals, no matter what company? Because it feels like she also wants to do movies and TV.
I think she's doing her. Yeah, thank you, Will. I think she's doing her own thing now, and I think that we're not going to see her do another long-term contract for a minute. That's at least my guess.
Yeah, I kind of feel like she's not going to be in like a full-time talent at any point in this because she has so many things going on, and I think she's going to cook in a bunch of different places, which is better for us. And I think what she wants to be doing because she was locked down in WWE for a long time, man.
Locked down.
Irene C also says, with All In feeling like AEW's Mania now, the expectation for the build and booking are off the charts. Some fans' anxiety is too eye-rolling.
Yeah, it's getting a bit much, man.
Yeah,
a little bit much.
Just like enjoy it, bro. Leonard Aarons III says, All Out is literally 1 week after. All In is literally 1 week. All Out is literally 1 week after All In, folks. Then again, most of these folks are some folks who have done nothing but consume WWE in large doses for most of the last 2 decades. So, yeah.
How much of it do you think is a part of it too that people are like, this is what WWE would do with this crowd? They would treat this like their biggest show of the year. So that's what AEW should do.
A lot of them, but they be lying because them Saudi shows be sometimes. Man, there's hella people out there.
That's some people's dream match.
Yeah,
somebody helping put that show together and telling them what they want. That's their dream match.
Exactly. Zero Prime says it'd be nasty business when Tony gives Saraya AEW Women's Champion over Hikaru Shida for hometown pop. Shake my fucking head. Fuck
I
my
do
life.
not. I do not believe that's happening, sir.
I would hope not. That'd be very awesome. And Yes Boy says thoughts on the new Raw and SmackDown announce teams. Michael
That's it.
Cole is on all the shows.
It seems like one of those endeavor moves, and the way it sounds from their report is that they're handpicking Cole, and I understand why, because Cole has been there so long.
He's the voice of WWE.
He's definitely the voice of the company for most people.
Mm-hmm.
He does a great job of representing the company, not just as a commentator, but just in the way he moves out here.
Right.
So I understand them wanting to reward him and make him the voice of both shows. I don't I don't feel either way about it. I know some people are like, this is improvement. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, I think Michael Cole should be on. I see why it makes sense because like his voice should be on Raw, but then it also should be on SmackDown. So like, yeah, just have him on both shows because his voice is WWE. So you kind of want him for all those moments to be connected to them too. And I think he's pretty active in like producing the commentators and stuff. So I'm pretty sure he's always around anyways. Like, just go out there.
Yeah, I'm indifferent to it. I get both sides of it. That it does make sense to have him on both shows because, like you said, he is the voice of the company. But I also understand having him on a flagship series and then giving a different tone and making the other show different.
Yeah, I used to love when people. It's very controversial takes on either side, but when Mauro Ranallo was around and like SmackDown sounded totally different than Raw, that's what they need because now it's just going to be like every show's Michael Cole, every show's going to sound exactly the same. Every show's going to be formatted exactly the same, and that's going to maybe take away a little bit.
Yeah, shout out to Mauro, man. I still want to see him do some more with wrestling.
Me too, man. I like that shit. People are like, oh, he be doing dumb jokes and blah blah. Like, no, nobody has enthusiasm. Nobody got into wrestling in the spots like Mauro did, man. He used to be crazy excited out here.
Yeah.
That's all the super chats for now. Appreciate everybody sending in super chats. Y'all are dope. Always asking great questions. Always contributing very nicely to our chats. Shout outs for the Humber chats too. And of course, you should subscribe, leave a thumbs up, tell your mom about it, eat some ice cream. It's lit.
Yeah. Before I slide into some of the SummerSlam talk and we get out of here, I think we are going to give you a word from our sponsors.
Yeah.
Fitbod.me/PPV. You want to check this out. This is going to take your workouts to a new level. Daily workouts, goal and experience settings, muscle recovery, the ability to connect to all your devices. They have timed intervals, circuits and supersets, equipment selection. This stuff has helped me out a lot as I'm trying to get in the best shape of my life. And the thing I like about it, when I travel, it is so useful. So maybe you have weights one day, you have bands the next, and maybe the next day you don't have any equipment. You can only do body weight exercises. Fitbod is going to cater your workout to that, and it's going to cater your workouts based on how fresh your muscles are. You can ask a trainer, you can use video demonstrations and exercise instructions. If you don't know what you're doing, you need to stop guessing and start working. And at fitbod.me/PPV, you can redeem your 25% off code, and you can download to try it now for free. Fitbod, that's fitbod.me/PPV. Over 150,000 five-star reviews and over 5 million downloads. Fitbod.me/PPV.
Yeah, appreciate Sean for coming through with some words from our sponsors. Hopefully Sean is doing
SRS. Yeah, hopefully SRS is going all right.
Yeah, hopefully he's doing better. But like I said, wherever you are in your fitness journey, Fitbod is the way to go. Be sure to use our code, and that is Grapsody, GRPSODY. So,
Grapsody, baby. Hey, we're talking about it on the phone recently. Our 100th episode is coming up here soon. We need to figure out when this 100th episode is because that's a pretty big moment for us. We're pretty close to it, I think. Maybe in the 80s or something. Maybe even the 90s.
We are close. I need to narrowed it down and make sure we haven't skipped over it. I'm pretty sure we haven't hit 100 yet.
I don't
but
think so.
We are
That'd
close.
be unfortunate if we did.
we are close.
Because I think on our YouTube playlist that it has like our interviews in there too, right? So that adds a couple of episodes because we don't count those as like Grapsody episodes.
Yes, it's a little something extra for you guys, but
Yeah.
yeah, I need to double check that. I don't know if you have not watched the recent episode of the G1 and you don't want to be spoiled. I don't know. Put your fingers in your ears and do la 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 or whatever you want to do. But
Yes.
the G1 climax is heading to a close this weekend. The finals will be tomorrow. Technically tomorrow morning for us in the U.S. But
Who's in the finals, Phil?
semifinals were today. There were, of course, some interesting booking decisions that people were not into.
Or Gatos, but about it.
Yeah, we got odd decisions like Hikuleo versus Evil in like the quarterfinals. Sorry, I mixed that up. We had Evil going against Sonata in the quarterfinals, and Sonata was on this monster run in his block, was undefeated in his block. He had the highest amount of points in the entire tournament was 14 points. Beats all of these people en route to the playoffs, and then loses right away to Evil. And so Evil moved on to the semifinals to face Okada, which was this morning. And the other semifinals was Ospreay versus Naito. Semi-final matches I thought were very good. There were a lot of good matches in this tournament, but I personally think that Naito versus Ospreay was the best match of the tournament. It's probably going to go down.
Tournament.
Yes, I think it's the best match of the entire tournament. I think it's going to go down as one of the best matches of this year. One of Naito's best matches in a long time, in my opinion. If you have not seen this match yet, go out of your way to see it. I think it's extremely good. At this point, like, we don't need to go over and sing too much of the praises of Billy Ospreay. We know what this guy does. We know what he does in big matches, but this match was amazing. The strikes in it, the callbacks, the story of Naito trying to win his third G1 climax, and he of course does a reference to his second G1 win in 2017, and he was using the submission hold in that run. He used that hold in this match. There's also references to stuff like Naito's eye surgery. There's a spot where Ospreay is like walking around in circles, hitting him in that spot over and over with hook kicks. It's awesome. There are some fantastic reversals in this. There's this awesome reversal where Ospreay tries to get Naito up into a powerbomb, and he kind of rolls out of it in midair and goes into a DDT. It looks tremendous. There's a few of them where he tries to get him in a Stormbreaker, and he counters into the Destino. That's how the match pretty much ended. That it looked like he was gonna finish him off with the Stormbreaker, but countered into the Destino. Ends up using 3 Destinos to put Ospreay away, and Naito is heading to the finals, getting ready to meme insert here finish the story. But I think the cool thing about this match is that Ospreay has never won a G1. And so a few weeks ago, we talked about how big of a deal it was that he finally beat Okada, because that was one of those things that he never managed to do in his entire time with the company. And so beating Okada in this tournament felt like it was a signifier with the year he's having, that this is it. This is the year that he's going to go to the finals and he's going to win. And so with Naito starting slow like he usually does, coming into this match and beating the guy that some people thought was going to win this whole thing, I think that is the sign that Naito is going to win this match, and he is going to go on to Wrestle Kingdom and challenge for the World Heavyweight title, which is held by former LIJ member Sonata. On the other side of that, like I said, Evil faced Okada in a very good match. I thought it's not as good as the other semifinals match, but it's also very good because Okada is Okada. Okada is so good that he made a match with all of the House of Torture shenanigans stuff. It was good. It was very good. This man was out there fighting for his life, fighting for men at some points. There's a spot in it where all of the House of Torture guys are in the ring. There's a ref bump, obligatory House of Torture ref bump. And Okada's just like dropping drop kicks on all of them, getting them out of here. He was out there fighting for his life, withstanding low blows from Evil. He took he took his big finisher, not the Darkness Falls, but the other one. Everything is Evil. He took that and kicked out of it. There are several hold spots in this match with great false finishes. They really make you believe at certain points that Evil is going to win this match, but Okada manages to power through, hits him with his own finisher, hits him with Everything is Evil, and then comes out of that, hits him with the Cobra Flosion, and finally a Rainmaker to put him away. 1, 2, 3. Okada is en route to possibly winning his third G1 in a row. One in 2021, one in 2022. Possibly his third G1 win in a row. 5 for him. That would
Gato, you a sick individual if you do
5
this, bro.
5 for him. So the finals for the G1 is storied rivalry: Okada versus Naito. If you've watched New Japan at any point, you know that these guys have a long history with each other, going all the way back to when Naito was first getting started as the Stardust Genius. And that was the storyline going into Wrestle Kingdom 12. Very controversial finish to that match. Almost as controversial as Cody losing this year at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, probably more controversial was New Japan fans. People were upset that Naito lost that year.
People were not happy, brother.
That was Naito's big year. He won the G1 that year and made it all the way to Wrestle Kingdom. And of course, fell short of his goal, of his destino of winning at Wrestle Kingdom. But of course, that led to an even better win for him 2 years later when he won both titles at Wrestle Kingdom 14 on night 2, beating Jay White on night 1 en route. I thought that was a great match, great finish, fantastic moment for him. Of course, Kenta came in and put spoilers at the end. But I think ever since then, and just stuff with Naito with the pandemic, we've always kind of wanted to see him get a run that he deserves in front of a crowd, and getting that moment at Wrestle Kingdom that he kind of deserves with with all of the fanfare and stuff that he deserved. Seeing him also look healthy in this match, and I feel like move better than we've seen him move, because Naito's old. Naito's 41. He's had history of knee injuries,
and he's had some fights.
Like a ton of other injuries, and I think he looked great here. He's moving very well in this match. Again, I think this is Naito's best match in a very long time. And I don't know how much of that you want to put on Ospreay. That Ospreay just is on a tear. He's having great matches with everybody. He has a really good match with LP in this tournament as well. I think other than the main story of Naito possibly winning this, there has been so many other things they've built up with this tournament, whether it be like the new generation of stars with the new Three Musketeers, and like what they've done with that, what they've done with like the Five Guys. I think I'm a little bit more in that interested in that stable. I think LP is a guy that came out of this, didn't win a whole bunch of matches, but I think that he came out of this looking the best at his tournament. Like, I think if you weren't convinced on him as a babyface going into this tournament, he had the best character arc in this tournament. Like, I feel like the story is him feeling humbled because not just that he was losing, that promo where he's talking about, his death and his family and how much this meant to come here and prove himself. And then him finding camaraderie again with the other ex-Bullet Club members and Tonka Lau and Tamatanga and Jado and Hikuleo. I think all that stuff is very good. I'm very high on LP at the moment. It feels like he's one of those guys that they can push him heavy at some point. He's gonna be a hot babyface at some point.
He's really good. He's really, really good at this wrestling thing.
Yeah, and I just think all the character stuff they've done with him in this tournament has been really, really good. I think if you were not sold on this iteration of Bullet Club, this tournament has done a lot for those guys as well. War Dogs are on fire right now. There are another ones that didn't win a whole bunch of matches, but you could feel their impact in this tournament. Gabe Kidd is Gabe Kidd is tremendous. All of those guys I think are tremendous. Coughlin, I'm even starting to come around on Finlay as leader. On this episode, they came out and they confronted Hikuleo and Tamatanga, Tangalau, and LP, and that because Tamatanga pinned Finlay. I think that was last week, and so that's of course leading somewhere with the never open weight title. I'm assuming that Tamatanga is going to challenge him at some point. You're probably going to get multi-men matches with those 5 guys against the Bullet Club. I think all that stuff is great. I also think what they have done. It's so funny because, again, like I said, New Japan is back, man. It really is. This is the most excited I've been about New Japan in a while. That's why some of this I just can't hide some of my excitement about everything they're doing. Like, I think even the stuff they're doing with Kaido is really good because I do think Okada's going to lose in the finals. I do think Naito's going to win. And I do think they could circle back to Kaido versus Okada if they want. If they don't want to do that, maybe we're going to get Okada versus Ospreay again. I don't know. They've got so many things that they could do with Okada by Wrestle Kingdom. He does not need to be in the title picture. This guy has held a title several times. I think they've managed to do a lot with this tournament to bring interest to a lot of New Japan guys, whether it be new generation guys. Eddie Kingston got a good run over there. We of course got his update on Rampage last night. I thought that was really cool. Really excited that he got to meet his hero, and Kawada is going to interview him for StarCast. That's awesome. A lot of really fun things coming out of this tournament.
Yeah, it's really exciting, especially since you guys predicted that Naito was going to come out of the G1 as a champion. It's looking like that's going to happen. He's deserved this kind of thing, and I've heard. Of course, I was at the show last night, but shout out to the homie Amir sent me a DM telling me how great this Ospreay and Naito match was. One of Naito's best matches in years. So I'm definitely going to have to check this out. Of course, Okada's here in the finals too because this is his company. He is the real ace of this company. It's all about Okada.
Yeah, but I do think there's a reason they are, making it seem like because the other part of it, he's never beat Ospreay. Naito has never beat Ospreay 1-on-1. So I think overcoming Ospreay and then at the end of this tournament having to face this guy that he's also had trouble beating, but also managed to beat him at Wrestle Kingdom. And just going back to this story, and again having it linked to things like Okada possibly winning 3 G1s in a row, possibly being a guy that wins 5 G1 tournaments, which is insane.
It's like how many people even have 2 victories over Okada, which will be crazy for Naito, right? Because Okada people don't be beating Okada. He be beating ass.
Yeah, so I'm very excited for the finals tomorrow morning. But yeah, very excited. And again, if you have not seen Ospreay versus Naito, go out of your way to see that match. Very, very good match. All of the other stuff that they're doing, like with the Bullet Club and some of the other storylines that they're building, it seems like we're going to see some more of Shota versus Ren Narita down the line. Very here for that. Very here for whatever Zack Sabre Jr. is doing, because he's incredible. He is just great at everything he goes to do. Tremendous heel. I don't care what you do with him. He's just such a great smarmy heel.
He is.
He's super excited for what they're doing.
He's great in this role. I hope they eventually, because they were building or teasing him and Samoa Joe having a match, and I just hope that eventually they do actually go through with it. So
yeah, hopefully we get that at some point. That's your quick up to date on the G1. Hopefully, if you did not want to be spoiled, like I said, you put your fingers in your ear.
Earmuffs.
Or tuned out, but it hasn't been a perfect tournament. Has been some odd booking decisions, but I think the destination has been worth it. I'm very excited for the finals.
Yeah, I'm excited for Eddie Kingston too, getting the opportunity to even be in the G1, getting a shot off, meeting his hero, and bringing back that championship. He's supposed to defend that championship in AEW, right?
I don't know, but of course, in this episode, he got jumped at the end of his match. He's in a multi-man match. Got jumped at the end of his match by Hanare, who has been another guy that came out of this tournament with a great reset. He switched it around with his gear, came back with the awesome tattoo on his face. He's got the new theme music, which is fire. I think his new theme song is a banger. And I just really love what he's doing. But he attacked Eddie Kingston afterwards, and looks like he is going to challenge for that New Japan Strong Championship soon. I don't know if that's going to happen on the Philly show. Makes sense because it's a New Japan Strong show.
Yeah.
I don't know. But very excited for where that leads for Eddie Kingston. Very excited for him to come back to the States and eventually challenge Claudio for that Ring of Honor World title again, because I do think that is the destination.
Agreed too. It's going to be good to see Eddie Kingston back and see how he's in the mix with All In and All Out and the events coming.
Yeah. But yeah, as I've said many times, there's wrestling for everybody. I saw people that were, because I have not been enthused about the Bloodline stuff lately. But as a New Japan fan, there is so much for me to enjoy over here. And if you're not a New Japan fan and you're a Fed guy, you got your Bloodline stuff you can enjoy. There's something for everybody.
That's very true. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a couple of super chats before we get into the Bloodline and SummerSlam talk. Jake Salazar says, Saraya belongs on the pre-show at best.
Nah, they weren't going to do that.
Oh,
Sorry.
this is
Sorry,
also funny. I saw this wild announcement that I missed last night. Jake Salazar also says, Jeff Jarrett versus Jeff Hardy going to be match of the year, I'm afraid. Philip Lindsay. They announced Jeff Jarrett's taking on Jeff Hardy in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match.
I don't know what this was. I thought this was fake when I first saw the graphic. I was like, yo, Tom
looks fake.
I was like, Tom Customs got to chill out, man. Like, like
he crossed the line, bro.
But then I actually watched Rampage, and I was like, wait, this is a real match.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre video game, not even a movie.
They're getting it. Yeah, they're getting their sponsorship match back. Not quite Pitch Black or Slim Jim, but yeah, this is a very interesting match. And just with the announcement that they're going to turn this week's episodes into the Fight for the Fallen stuff, and give the proceeds to the relief in Hawaii is a great deal. But like then next to it, you like this match is on that that card. I'm like, wait a minute.
Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Hardy death match. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What does that mean? Neither one of these guys have ever done a death match, so I don't know why they're billing it that. First of all, they should have called it Texas. I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening here, man.
It's a lot going on. Of course, Jeff Jarrett is attached to it because it's Jeff Jarrett. He's going to get the bag. I don't know.
Yeah. Oof.
Jake Salazar also says, we are 2 weeks away and still no Goldberg.
Yes, it's not happening, buddy. I don't think it's happening.
We're going to be 1 week away, no Goldberg. We're going to be 0 weeks away, no Goldberg. And we're going to be at All In and no Goldberg. He also says, Jake Salazar, Naito brought out the Stardust press. I was marking.
Yes. He always manages to bring that move out. If you know the history behind the Stardust Genius stuff, and because that's what cost him the match at Wrestle Kingdom 12. He tried to do that Stardust press. He took it a little bit too far. He flew a little bit too close to the sun, missed it, cost him the match. And he does the same thing in this match for a spot. He misses it. And afterward, he gets nailed with a hidden blade. And I was just like, no, don't do this to us. And of course, he kicks out. Very good false finish. Very good match if you have not seen it.
Gotta watch it. Leonard Aarons III says, 2023 is going to be year of insert wrestler here finishing their story before Cody did. That roll call tomorrow will hit differently for real.
No, roll call today, I was like, again, I was hyped. I was out of my seat when he hit the roll call at the end of the show.
Right. William Chisholm with another very generous super chat. Thank you, William. You're being very nice today. If it's true that Kyrie is going back to WWE, I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised that she didn't make an AEW run, not even one match. Do y'all know if the Booker of Stardom has heat with AEW? Because I think they're having a show with Impact. It's just weird to me.
I'm not sure what's going on with that relationship. It does seem like
it's weird.
There's some weird stuff going on. I know there have been scheduling conflicts as well. So I do think that the Stardom wrestlers will eventually work an AEW show. I just don't know what the holdup has been. But the Kyrie stuff is interesting. She did do a press conference this week that was a little vague. It was just kind of like, I'm wrapping up certain stuff by the end of this month.
Y'all gonna like what y'all see, essentially.
Yeah. So he hasn't said that she's going back, but the report from Meltzer and from PW Insider is that she is heading back to WWE. Meltzer has said that he thinks that it's going to happen in November. Again, that's the same thing as when we talked about all this stuff. If that's what she wants to do, I'm full for it. I do think
she's in her 40s, right? Like, yo, get the bag, that big dog.
Yeah, she's had, concussion stuff, and I feel like there are matches that she didn't get a chance to do with WWE that should have happened with the first run. And I think that was the saddest part about her leaving WWE when she did. I did want to see her go back to Stardom, and she did get to do cool stuff with Stardom. She did get to do the first IWGP Women's Champion. She'll always go down in history as the first IWGP Women's Champion. Had that great match with Mercedes this year.
How long was she in WWE?
She went there in 2017, right?
Yeah, so she was there for about 6 years. Something like that, 5 or 6 years. Going from that fucking a breeze of WWE schedule and matches and sometimes not having matches and kicking it and getting paid to going to Stardom where they're trying to take your head off. It's high speed. Everybody's fast. She probably went over there and was like, you know what?
Super hard hitting. Yeah, people in the chat are correcting you. Kyrie is 34.
Oh, 34. Sorry, I put some age on her.
Yeah, I think that most of it is that cause the talk of her possibly retiring wasn't about her age. It was the concussion stuff.
It's the concussion thing. Yeah, I'll be putting age because I'm an ageist.
But yeah, so she got there, I think, in 2017. Somebody in the chat says she left in 2020, so she would have been there 3 years.
It's been 3 years already since she's been gone.
Time flying, buddy.
Damn.
Time is flying. But I think she's done cool things with Stardom. If she does want to go back, if she's ready to go back, I think that bodes well for what they're doing with EO. Mm-hmm. If you can include Kyrie and the story stuff with EO as champion, I think that's cool. There's stuff that they could do with Asuka because they were a tag team.
And Kyrie already before her WWE career has done so much. Like she actually has more to accomplish in WWE than she does in Japan at this point.
Right. So I mean, again, it's whatever she wants to do. I got my wish out of this because I was saying for the longest I want her to go back to Stardom, and we did get a brief stint with Stardom. So whatever we get from here is cherry on top for me.
Right. Carlos Mendez says Okada versus Danielson 2 at Wrestle Kingdom. That's what I thought could potentially happen. I mean, if they would have told the story of him beating Okada, then wrestling Omega, and then Okada wanting to get his revenge at Wrestle Kingdom, that would have been great. We'll have to see what this injury does to Brian because...
we have to see when he'll be back. But if he'll be back by January, I could see them doing it. I also, like I said, could very much see them running back Okada versus Kaito.
True. That's all of the super chats.
So, I mean, I guess real quick, we'll get into SummerSlam stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick before we jump into that. What do you make of our current developments with the Adam Cole and MJF saga? This week, we got some Roddy interference again. Roddy came out with no theme music, yelling from the entrance.
Roddy's a wild boy, man.
And it looked like some cracks in the foundation this week. And, of course, we got the development that Max is doing double duty at an AEW pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would see today.
I don't know how to feel about this Ring of Honor tag title match, Phil. I don't know what they're going to do with this because Denise brought up a great point on the post show. She's like, if they lose, I don't want to see two losers in the main event of the big show. So why is Max and Adam Cole in this match, which I can understand.
Yeah. Did you see the Rampage stuff they did last night with the vignette they did for the ROH tag titles?
I didn't.
I think they did something really cool there. They did like this entire like history of the titles, like how much those titles have meant, how those titles have also main evented shows. like the world title has. How the
Yeah.
biggest feud and possibly the biggest match with Ring of Honor for the last decade was Briscoes versus FTR. So they made those belts feel like a big deal,
Oh.
and that made me think, all right, are they gonna win? Because it was enough, and they also threw in stuff like, hey, these belts are also notable because singles guys that are big name stars have come together and won these belts. Like they mentioned Punk winning them. Did not mention who his partner was, which I thought was hilarious. I don't think they did that intentionally, but just the fact that they mentioned Punk has been a former tag champion. They mentioned AJ Styles has also won those belts. And it definitely made me think, like, are they trying to swerve this and make us think that these guys can be the next ROH world champions? And I really sat and thought about it for a second, and I was like, I'm 50-50. They could win that match, and I understand what they could do because on the surface, it looks like, all right, Aussie Open just got started. Why would you take the belts off them this fast? But I don't think this hurts Aussie Open because Aussie Open could easily transition from this into a feud for the main titles. And I think if the match is killer, it will make Aussie Open look good. I don't think it necessarily hurts them. I also think it sets them up for a feud with the Kingdom if they win, and it sets them up to lose to the Kingdom. There are reasons I could see where they could win these belts and it would make sense story-wise. If they are doing this Kingdom stuff long-term, I could very much see them winning at this pay-per-view and Kingdom being the next guys in line after them to be the next Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions.
As someone who watches and reviews Ring of Honor television on a weekly basis, I hope this scenario doesn't play out because that means I don't think that Adam Cole and MJF are going to be on fucking Honor Club.
No.
So it's like those championships are going to be just in AEW, which is cool. But I love what Aussie Open is doing so far as being the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions.
This is the other thing. Great. This is the other thing that made me think about it. Think about how many defenses Aussie Open has had already.
Yeah.
That's usually the sign when they're going to have a short reign.
And
I was like, I could see it. I could see them winning. And I don't know. But I think that's what's so great about what they've done with this. There's enough to question of can they win or will Kingdom interfere in this match? Will Kingdom be their next challengers? What does this mean? I'm intrigued. I'm very much intrigued to see what they do with this pre-show match.
Do you think that they do? Okay, I guess it would be a couple of questions. If they lose, do you think that they do the split at the end of the night? The full, we're done here. And if they win, how do you think they handle the finish of the title match?
Well, they've done a lot to make us question what we're seeing because the Aussie Open promo last night was interesting because they acknowledged in their promos that the only reason people are interested in this act is because everybody knows MJF is going to turn on him.
Yes.
And that made me think maybe he won't. Maybe this is all Adam Cole's plot all along, and that Adam Cole is making him do double duty to tire him out in that tag match. Because if you've noticed with all the tag matches, I don't know if everybody else has looked at this, MJF has done most of the wrestling in all of those matches. And I don't know, maybe this is his scheme to tire him out in that tag match, and all of this Kingdom stuff is a red herring, and at the end of the night, he is going to turn on Adam Cole, and the Kingdom is going to help him. I don't know.
I'm liking what you're putting out. I think the Kingdom are going to play a role in this. I think they should be the next Ring of Honor World Champions, Tag Team Champions. So if that were to kind of happen in here, I would enjoy that part of it. There's so many different ways that they could go with this. It doesn't have to be the blow off here, which also could be another thing to lead to more happening. The developments are pretty interesting. Roderick Strong being a big crybaby, him slowly walking into the arms of Taven and Mike Bennett. I was like,
hilarious, bro.
This guy
hilarious,
man.
Taven gave him the most loving hug. He's like rubbing him on the head afterwards. All of that stuff was very, very funny. But again, the crack shows there, not just that the second Max thought it was a promo, he immediately started burying Cole.
He did.
Then he started going in on his friend, and Cole was kind of just standing there looking until Roddy was like, "You're going to let him talk to me like that?" And then he stopped him, and he kind of got in his face, and that look on Max's face when he shoved him. This could go either way. I could see Max turning on him. I could see Cole playing the game and getting just close enough to try and scheme and take that belt. I don't know. The fact that we don't know and this is now feeling less predictable than it initially was, I think that that's very good. I think that this is very much the best storyline that they have going right now. I still think the Darby and Swerve stuff is the best stuff on TV every week.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the storyline stuff and the keeping us guessing, I'm very much sold on this.
I still do not believe you, Maxwell Jacob.
I don't either.
Fool me, brother.
In my heart of hearts, I still think this pay-per-view is ending with Max holding that title over his head, and then Cult of Personality coming, hitting, and blaring in the Wembley Stadium, and Punk coming down and staring him down with the real World Heavyweight title in tow. But
with the stare down at the end is both of them holding their championships up face to face.
A la Punk Cena after Money in the Bank 2011. I don't know, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see where this is going. I don't think it's the worst idea. We talked about the benefits of them having Max on the pre-show, benefits of using such a hot storyline on the pre-show to help sell this pay-per-view. I think it's smart. The fact that, like I said, they've got stuff up their sleeves, I'm just still not 100% sure. Still don't trust Max, but I'm just not 100% sure where they're going with this.
Can't trust him. I can't trust him. I can't. And I don't want. Everybody has been sold. He's been doing a great job. I don't want a babyface MJF. I don't like it.
I don't. I think Cole is a better babyface at the moment. I can see why people think he's going to turn, and I can see the hints in it. Mm-hmm. But I kind of want him to stay babyface, and I would rather Max stay heel.
As the heel heavy AEW we've talked about very often. Yeah. I think Adam Cole works better as a babyface for the time being.
Yeah, but I could absolutely see a double turn happening as well.
Definitely.
I'm not sure where they're going again, but again, very intrigued with it. I thought that this was a solid episode of Dynamite. I thought Collision, even though it had to go up against SummerSlam last Saturday, was pretty solid as well. Tag team wrestling on Collision is so good, man.
It's a tag team wrestling show.
It's so good. Big Bill and Cage were fantastic last week in their tag match. FDR is FDR. And again, I keep telling people, you put them guys in there with dance partners and you get a motivated FDR. They're gonna put some classics together, man.
They're gonna cook every single time in that setting. Put the tag team championships on the line. Give them more than 15 minutes, and it's a wrap. Like they're just really good at big epic tag team contest. That's why this Wembley match is going to be insane. Both these guys, FTR as the FTR that we always know that they should be, against Young Bucks coming back to the tag team division. And like we said a little bit earlier, that tag team match with the Hardys was super fun. People were on our podcast last week, Phil, calling Jeff Hardy wash, saying, "Why is he in here? He shouldn't be in the show." Like that's the testament to the Young Bucks, is they did not look washed in there against the Young Bucks, because that's how fucking good they are at this.
No, you might owe Jeff an apology. Speaking of guys that came in and looked great, man. Round of applause for RVD, because that guy not only is in great shape, he looked fantastic in that match. He still hit all of the spots, hit that spinning leg drop off the apron, and still looked great. I don't care how many times I've seen this guy do a 5-star frog splash. I hop out of my seat every time. He's just one of the best wrestlers ever. Just like, man, can't say enough great things about this guy. He looked great. He hit all of the greatest hits in that match. I thought it made Jack looked great as well. Man, I wouldn't be mad at seeing some more RVD matches, man.
Yeah, no, I liked it as a huge RVD fan for a very long time, more than 20 years. That was great to see. Just like you said, he hit all the great RVD stuff. That spinning leg drop was nasty. Just like
that was crazy.
Jack tore it up. He's as we said many times in these past couple of weeks, as a heel and wrestling, and when the bell rings, great. Phenomenal stuff. The ring up, the song with RVD, him hitting everything, the 5-star frog splash, him having a great time. Perfect. Love it.
Yeah, out there hitting the Rolling Thunder on that chair. I was like, all right, man, calm down.
Good work.
we know you still got it, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he
give
looked.
up at least one. He can't have it all be nice.
But yeah, he looked great. He also shared that selfie of himself again, showing the great shape that he's in. The guy is just, I guess, just not aging. But
A
yeah,
lot of weed.
yeah,
It
but
works.
yeah, big shout outs to Rob Van Dam, man.
Mhm.
But yeah, get into the SummerSlam stuff before we wrap it up and get out of here. We did the post show. Weren't supposed to do this post show together. Technical difficulties abound. We ended
Sean's
up.
like, Phil's having issues. Phil's having issues. Somebody go save him. And then I'm like, all right, I got him. I'm on my way. And then I go in there and your thing's working fine. I'm like, okay.
Code 10. It's code 10. Get them chains off the door.
I get in there and I'm like, wait, Phil sounds all right. He sounds pretty chill. And
Yeah,
so
it was.
the professor and I joined Phil and Denise on the SummerSlam post show. Good times.
Yeah, shout out to Professor as well. He was dope. But yeah, we gave him for our thoughts on SummerSlam, so we don't have to really go into a full recap of the show. I thought for the most part it was a solid show. The things that I really enjoyed. The parts that I wasn't very into. Like I said, very, very distinct peaks and valleys in this show. Like I said, the things that were very good were very good. The stuff that wasn't good, I was completely out on it. I thought the Gunther match was very good.
Yep.
Gunther's Gunther. He does not have bad matches, and him and Drew had a great match. I thought the opening match was extremely good. Was very happy with how that turned out. I was very happy that Ricochet didn't just get beat clean. He actually came out of this looking very good. Man, for everything you can say about them segments coming into this house, some of them were a little bit corny, and they didn't bring out the best in Ricochet. Once that bell rang and he actually had the match, man, he was out there showing out.
It's Ricochet. Logan Paul is not Will Ospreay, as we've seen in a couple of those spots, but I think they had a lot of fun in there. Logan Paul is one of a really good investment for WWE. No lie. Yeah, I thought for the most part that this show, everything that we expected to be good was really good, and the main event was trash.
Yeah, I also really, of course, enjoyed my guy's match. He shut up some deniers that thought he was not going to
that was probably the match of the night, I think.
It was
Rollins and Finn. Yeah.
It was definitely match of the night.
Yeah.
Match of the night for my guy, Seth Rollins. I don't know what you guys thought. Came out there and trolled with the gear that he wore when he beat Finn 7 years ago. Finn came out with the 7 years tattoo over the scar that he had from the surgery he had with the shoulder. He did some really good spots that alluded to the injury, did that big buckle bomb spot that were reference to the buckle bomb he took in their match at SummerSlam. But I thought this was good. I thought the way that they worked all of the callbacks, I thought that the shenanigans that they brought in with Judgment Day was also very good. I feel like one of the only defenders for this Ronda match, because I didn't think it was as bad as people made it out to be. I don't think that it was great.
Same. No, I'm a defender too, because I thought a lot of it was pretty fun. I thought the head kick spot was fun. I thought the grappling was really fun. I thought there was a lot of good elements. And what do you expect? It's a WWE worked MMA match. Like, you're not about to be knocking each other's head off and blood and all kind of stuff going on.
Yeah, I was a big defender. Now, I don't want to say a big defender of the match, but I was definitely one of those that, like, this match wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. I think the crowd didn't know what to do with it because
they're not going to.
The rules weren't very clear, and I don't think that was kind of the match for that crowd. We kind of talked about it on the post show as well. That I think that match would have done better in a different setting, like Bloodsport. That's their bread and butter. That would have done really well.
That match happened at Bloodsport, people would have been going crazy. Like, that's what it's for. It's not for we just saw Ricochet and fucking Logan Paul flip over this whole thing. Like, it has the reason that Bloodsport really works is because it's 8 of those matches, so you're kind of set up for it. If one of these matches is smack dab in the middle of the WWE variety show, it's gonna feel weird, especially for the fans, because those fans don't care about Bloodsport. They care about story.
Yeah, they're not here for MMA stuff.
No.
Like, they're here for wrestling. And so it's very hard to do a worked MMA fight in general and to get the crowd into it in certain settings. And the other thing is it's hard to make a worked MMA fight look convincing. I think they did stuff here that worked. I think that the pace for it didn't really work. I think it needed to be a little bit more quick, and I think it needed to be a little bit more it didn't feel that dangerous for an MMA fight. Like it still felt very safe. But again, it's Ronda Rousey. You're not gonna go too far with it. It's WWE. They're not gonna go too crazy with the violence. But the stuff that they did get in, man, it looked good. Like you said, the head kick looked good. The Shayna showed off that big shiner she had after the match. I think the transition stuff into the submissions towards the end of the match after the whole fake stoppage thing, which kind of slowed down the match. I didn't really care for the stoppage stuff, but I think after the stoppage, the submissions and stuff they did was good. I didn't hate it.
I thought people were kind of overreacting for it. It was like, what did you really expect? This ain't a pride fight, dude. This is a worked MMA match in the WWE with Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
I thought it was fine for what it was. Shayna, the right outcome happened. Shayna put over Ronda on seemingly what's Ronda's way out of WWE. So I couldn't really see her coming back, honestly. Like, why would she? They've proved her that she shouldn't come back at this point.
I don't think we'll see Ronda for a while. I think it was the right move to, on her way out, make Shayna look good. I thought this did. I thought it did as good of a job as it was going to do to make Shayna feel like Shayna for NXT again.
Yeah.
Now it's on WWE to be consistent with her. I like that she immediately on Raw said that she's gunning to get her win back on Becky. That makes a lot of sense. I think that should be the next big Becky feud.
Yep.
And I think it makes a lot of sense what they're doing with her. Hopefully they push her similar to the way that they were pushing her in NXT. But I didn't really care for the other women's match. I won't get into. I won't get into all of the. I just felt it was a little disappointing for everybody that was involved into it. But the biggest news from this was the main event. That was the focal point of the night, and of course, that was the biggest headline of this. Is Jimmy Uso coming at the end of this very slow and plodding, boring match, and turning on his brother Jey Uso after he super kicked Roman 2 months ago and convinced this man to turn on Roman as well and leave the bloodline. Now he has turned on his brother. And well, first of all, you said you didn't like the match. What did you think of just the entirety of this, the match and the aftermath of this?
I came on this podcast before and said I didn't want them to fight solo because they're brothers. Like, brother versus brother just historically doesn't. I'm not really that interested in. I get it because like there's coming out of people being like, well, they've been talking about having a one-on-one match and they want to blah blah blah. Who cares? I don't want that. I want the Usos. You told me that the Usos were the greatest tag team of all time. Why the fuck are they fighting each other now? I see that they tried to explain out of it on SmackDown and work around it, but I just didn't really. It got into a Roman plunder match. Yes. And then they built it as the tribal combat match or whatever. No one could interfere except for Solo, who can interfere, and the referee could see him the whole time. Except for Jimmy, who can also interfere, and the referee could see him the whole time. Like I said, don't lie to me. Why are you lying to me? Why are you telling me nobody can show up in the match? And then someone shows up in the match, and it doesn't matter. Just say what it is. No rules apply to Roman Reigns. He could do whatever the fuck he wants at any time, and the rules that are established, he could get around them because he's the fucking champ. If you say that, it'll feel better than you saying nothing, and we can't have these rules. We're not going to have interference anymore. We're not going to have ref bumps. We're not going to have all this, and then it fucking happens. Adam Pearce, do your fucking job, dude. You're not doing your job. What was the point of the stipulation if they're not going to go by the stipulation?
This man is terrible at his job as an authority.
And they didn't even do enough to like. They could have just. Why'd they call it that? And it didn't have any elements of tribal
combat. Yeah. Look, man.
Test your might.
I think the issue with doing these big stipulation matches with Roman, and it's kind of been my growing displeasure with their stipulation matches on the whole, is that they just feel way too tame, man.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about some of the cage matches, to a degree with their War Games matches, because it's really just like them getting all the crazy spots in. It's not really violent.
It's a hardcore match. It's not like a violent match.
It's not really gonna. And so when they announced this tribal combat match, I'm like, all right, if this is a blood feud and you're not gonna just do a straightforward match, you're gonna make this the plunder match. cool. Then it's going to be something different than the usual slow plotting Roman matches. And then it was the same thing. And it was just with some weapons involved and, some other, stuff. But it still had all the shenanigans. It still had the solo spot in it. It still had the hooded guy shows up. Who could it be? Another Samoan that's part of his family. Oh, it's Jimmy. And I'm just like I said on the post show, stop doing the same finish with the hooded figure thing. You've done it 3 times. Enough. Stop doing it, bro. Like, I just don't want to see this finish again. We've seen it enough. I don't want to see interference in his matches anymore. We've seen it enough. You got to figure out another format for his matches as well, because this match was just painfully boring to me.
So what did they try to sell it out on SmackDown? Jimmy tried to say that he didn't want him to get an ego like Roman, or
so we get a very vague turn from him in the pay-per-view.
Yes.
And then we get the obligatory bloodline stuff on SmackDown that you have to wait till the end of the episode to see, because you're going to get a development of what happened at the pay-per-view. Can't wait to see it. Get to the end of the pay-per-view, and they get to the show, and they do what they always do with this bloodline stuff at this point, and they slow walk this dog. Yep. They dole out developments at snail's pace, and I think at the beginning of that's part of what made it interesting, because there was subtlety to the storyline. But after 3 years, man, just get to the goddamn
it's
point.
Like, you guys are still doing this, dude. Tell me what's happening.
Just get to the point. Like, so at the end, we get Roman doing his entrance, which takes an hour, and then we get him laughing it up and doing his ha ha ha, I've won again.
I told you so.
And then Jimmy comes out. He tells him, what do you want? I'll give you anything because I owe you one. He's like, I don't want anything from you. I don't work for you anymore, basically. I'm not coming back to the bloodline, which I told you guys on the post show. I figured he wasn't turning and siding with Roman again. So he made it very clear he did this because he did it on his own. He did this for Jay. And so when Jay comes out, he kills him. Tell me why you did this. You better tell me right now. And Jimmy tells him basically, I did this because I love you. I don't want you to turn into him.
I did it for the Rock.
It was very I did it for the Rock vibe. It was very a turn, but they didn't want to make it. They didn't want to go all out and say it was an outright heel turn. Now, the story stuff that I think they're doing, based on what they're doing with the bloodline stuff so far, is that I think it's not. I don't think that Jimmy is being on the up and up. I think that he's lying. I think that he is gaslighting. I think he is using the Roman tactics to get one over on.
He's actually the one that's egotistical and using the Roman stuff that he's saying that Jay's. That
he doesn't want him to turn, but I think he is, because I think the thing is this. I think that Roman tormenting these guys for 3 years at this point, and bringing Solo into it and adding him into his manipulations. I think we're getting to the point that all 4 of those guys are going to end up fighting over the mantle for tribal chief, because the other 3 are going to feel that the only way to get out from under Roman is to beat him at his own game and strip him of his power by taking it for themselves. And it's going to end up in a fight between the 3 of them of who should do it. We've seen the hints of Solo doing it, because he's looked at Roman sideways a few times, like, this is our leader. Like, maybe I can be leader. I can lead better than him. And I think Jimmy might be looking around like, I can lead better than you. What makes you feel like you can lead? And I think that's kind of the story here. So I think he kind of gaslit him a little bit on Saturday. I mean, on SmackDown. It's not because I love him. It might be that I don't want you to take on that burden, but it's also because I feel like I should take on the burden.
Gotcha. Okay. I see that.
And that on the surface is interesting. But the issue here is we've been at this for 3 years.
It's been so long.
The bloodline stuff has been going on for so long. And in 2022, you could excuse him beating everybody because there were no believable contenders. But this year, you had 3. You had Sammy, you had Cody, then you had Jay. He's beat all 3 of those guys in similar fashion.
All 3 of them suffered the same fate. All 3 of them were like, maybe this guy will be the guy. This guy should be the guy. And then we're still here, and he still has the belts.
So he's beat all of these guys in similar fashion. So all of the goodwill you created with the storyline and all of the faith that I've had in it that, all right, well, this will be worth it. Like, for example, Sammy loses, and the whole time I'm sitting there like, all right, well, it'll be worth it because Cody's gonna eventually win. Wrong.
Not happening.
All right, well, you've done something interesting with Jay. Jay pinned him. I don't believe that Jay is going to beat him, but at least maybe you'll do something else interesting with this. Nope, you're just going to do the same match, the same finish. And so it just kind of feels like for me the jig is up. Like it just feels like you're now just stretching this out as long as possible. Now, that doesn't mean they can't still do interesting stuff in the meantime. I have just kind of had enough of them trying to stretch this thing out. I've had enough of people fearing this man and not challenging him for this belt. I'm tired of him going out there and doing these 20-minute segments and nobody else in this company says his name. You got a Money in the Bank briefcase winner that does not mention this man's name at all. I think that's dumb. If you want me to believe that he's the biggest champion in the company, why on earth would the guy holding the briefcase and a golden ticket to a title match not care about facing him?
I want that belt. You're the biggest star in the business. I want that.
That just doesn't make sense, and it reeks of its company edict of, no, you stay over here in this pool. That's why we made a belt for you over here. No, that's why you guys, hey, bro, that's why you got this controller. Use this controller. Not over here, bro. That's what it feels like, and it's just like, that kind of stuff.
I got the Dual Shock over here. You got the old
you got your own controller. And that's the stuff that's taking me out of it, bro. It's like, man, at some point, this guy has to lose, and I think the longer you stretch out, like the storyline stuff, and I mean, I think it's also very clear that this storyline does not need him to be champion. The further we get away,
like people are still like, oh, they made the right move at WrestleMania. I'm like, did they? The belt?
I don't agree.
Every angle post WrestleMania without the championship, and it all would have hit exactly the same. Because, like you said, Phil, I think the conclusion of this is them all fighting for head of the table, not even the championship.
Exactly.
Not even the championship, of head of the table.
And they could have done that without the belt. Now, does the belt add something to it? Does it add to the weight of him being the head of the table? Yes.
It does, but if he's never gonna lose it, it fucking doesn't matter. Or you know what I mean?
So the other conclusion I came to, and it made me even more annoyed with the main event, is that this Cody and Brock stuff managed to cook. I was sitting here like, all right, how are they going to stick the landing with this Brock stuff? And they did. The match wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed the match for what it was. Brock put this guy over huge. We don't see Brock do that for anyone. Put this guy over huge. Shook his hand. Acknowledged him. He even said that on SmackDown. No, sorry, said that on Raw. That he was like, man, I don't know what to do next. And his mom said, what are you talking about, dummy? Brock acknowledged you. And so I was like, cool. When does he get his rematch then? No, you can't do his rematch because you got to keep teasing this match with Rollins that he doesn't really want and has nothing to do with the story you've been telling since January, because you decided to put him on another show to keep him away from the guy that you don't want to lose.
Meanwhile, we haven't talked about it in that SummerSlam match. Roman Reigns got injured. We have been reported. Jay, you could tell where it happened, and Jay, yes, you got to let the people set on there. Landed right on Roman Reigns' back.
Well, I think he had already started in motion for the dive.
Yeah,
and like when you look
at it,
it
was kind of on both of them a little bit.
When you look at it, it looked like he thought he was gonna eventually stand up and take the dive, and of course he didn't know that he was hurt. So he didn't know that he was leaned over, wincing over, probably in pain. So that's the other thing. You've now put yourself.
Could you imagine, Phil, if Roman Reigns is hurt and they have to the end of this is him vacating his championship? That'd be
They're
sick.
not gonna do it. They're not gonna do a vacating angle. No matter how long this guy is hurt, they're going to try and stretch this out and let him keep that belt as long as possible.
He's out for 9 months. You think they're going to let him keep it?
If he can be ready by January, for example,
he's keeping it.
He's keeping that belt. And we've already seen that he's not promoted for a lot of the shows this year.
Like he's not about to be at the Super Saudi show. He's not about to be at.
Yeah,
it's not Backlash. Payback.
But see, this is again my issue. You put yourself in a corner where you had stuff on SummerSlam that worked. Cody is massively over. Special kind of over.
Yeah.
This guy has it. This guy has the look of a guy that can be the face of the company. You had the excuse before that the reason Roman can't lose is because there's nobody else ready. You've got a guy that is ready.
Ready. Very
He's
ready.
ready. He's ready right now. In spite of your weird booking with him since WrestleMania, this guy has managed to stay over. And the
And
question,
he's about to be in Saudi Arabia and at Payback. He's going to be at
yeah.
all your shows. Give him the belt.
And so the question I keep asking myself every time I get reaffirmation or confirmation that this guy is who he says he is, the fact that this guy is still insanely over, I'm like, all right, when we putting the belt on him then?
Never.
And that's why I'm like, bro, you gotta, at some point this guy's gotta lose. And just watching all of that Brock stuff, I'm like, yo, if this endorsement doesn't cement it that this guy is it, he's the next guy, he's gonna beat Roman. Continuing to put this off now for until WrestleMania makes no sense.
And this Brock stuff would have hit harder if Cody was the champion too. Your first defenses, your first feud out of WrestleMania is fucking Brock Lesnar, and then he gives you an endorsement at the end. Imagine how much harder that would have hit if he would have had the fucking belt on his shoulder.
This is what I'm saying. And I don't want to keep making this about they made a mistake and not making Cody the champion. But it's just the big elephant in the room with all of this bloodline stuff. And I think it's also that it's a byproduct of the fact that, again, they beat every conceivable contender for him. And, like, even
They did it.
even the Jay stuff on SmackDown. So the segment ends with Jay not buying it from either of those guys. Super kicks Roman, walks out. Jimmy is walking up the aisle and he says, man, hey, come back. And he's like signaling him to come back like he's going to come in for a hug. And Jimmy's got his arms up ready for embrace, eats a super kick to the face. And Jay looks right in the camera and says, deuces, ooses, I'm out of here. I am leaving the bloodline. I am leaving WWE. And so, cool. Why should I care?
I don't care. Why would I care?
Yeah. Why would I ever care? Pound for pound, I'm the best to ever come around here.
Excluding nobody.
But yeah, why would I care? Because again, I think the biggest issue is that it doesn't feel like it's a natural story beat. It feels like, all right, this is the way to take him off the grid, to stretch this out longer, to get to this spot. Now, of course, we got the Rikishi thing that came out as well. Rikishi kind of spoiled something that's coming up that he's planned as a special.
Rikishi retweeted and said, nah, that was accident. Don't look at that.
Yeah. So again, I do think they could do interesting stuff to pull me back in, but at this moment, that end of SummerSlam was the most uninterested I've been in this bloodline stuff, man. And it's been coming this way since WrestleMania. I've been being less and less interested because it feels more and more like WWE taking something that was working and had like an organic progression to it, and then them doing what they always do with it. They over fucking selling things and just like, oh, now it has to be over dramatic. Now it has to be the tribal comeback. It has to be the massive civil war. It has to be something that now we drag out for a whole nother year when it didn't need to be that. Just let this thing end it at its natural conclusion and move the hell on. That doesn't mean you can't still use these guys to sell merch and use them as this massive draw for your television show, but you don't need to tie up so much of your television show in it. You don't need to tie up the title for it if you're not going to build other guys around it. Like right now, even if Roman was going to defend that belt next month and Jay's not on there, who is going to challenge this guy? You have not built anybody on SmackDown.
As a very nasty man once said, the owner of this very company that we're discussing, they make movies, pal.
And that's just what I'm saying. I have just, like I said, I'm just less and less interested. Hey, big ups to everybody that is still enjoying this. I said this last night. I have kind of made my point of why I'm kind of out of it. It feels very contrived to me at this point. And I think, man, the thing that people don't want to say is, boy, they show missing Sami Zayn over there, man, because Sami Zayn, it's not just that I feel like Sami Zayn was one of the best things in this angle. Sami Zayn added humor to this, so it wasn't just the melodrama stuff every week, and it wasn't just this stuff that takes itself way too damn seriously. It's also him going in and being self-aware, going for the pops, getting a chant over, and that's what's missing here. That's not to say that this isn't still over with the crowd. The crowd isn't reacting, but I just think this stuff takes itself way too seriously. I also think that its fans are way too in on this and thinking it's like this highbrow wrestling material. It's cinema, blah blah blah. And again, people are having their fun with it, but for me, I'm just not enjoying it as much as I was.
It's over. Wrap it up, B. Pin this guy. Pin him.
It's time. If you're not gonna pin him soon, do something else other than what you've been doing. Stop doing the same matches. Stop doing these.
Well, Roman's about to go home, so
yeah. Stop doing this long, slow moving plot without anything else going. If you're gonna do this slow moving plot, at least have other things going on, man. Like the way that they're moving forward since WrestleMania, and they've done cool things since WrestleMania, but I just become less and less interested.
right. For that.
I know we have a humper chat in relation to this that I was holding on to till we got into it.
Yeah.
From Black Phoenix brand, it says Jimmy turning on Jay is still stupid. Jimmy reasoning it isn't terrible, but flawed, and I have no idea where they're gonna go with Jay since he quit. But I can't even lie, they sold me on the hug. The super kick came out of nowhere. Yeah, I thought the execution of some of the stuff they did in the main event on SmackDown was good, but I'm getting more and more in the camp of I don't care.
Yeah, the ship has sailed, man. They can't keep rehashing what they've been doing for 3 years into something new. We're gonna get into a few super chats before we get up out of here. Ryan Ben 666 says MJF went all media man on those kids. Turn up, of course, talking about MJF destroying a bunch of little kids in dodgeball.
Bad news, kid. I'm your dad.
Good segment. Good stuff. Van Twinblade says Kingdom interferes in tag match, then interferes in main event. Adam's a super genius and has been working with the Kingdom.
Maybe. I can see it.
William Chisholm says, as a fan of Keith Lee, I hate how he's been booked in WWE and AEW. I'm at the point, just send the man to ROH or Impact. Am I overacting, though? No, I don't think you're overreacting.
No, I think he's very popular, and I think people want to see him on TV. I'm not sure what it is and why he's not on TV, but when he is out there, he gets a big response. So they got to find a way to get him back on.
And last one from William Chisholm, who's been very generous today. We really appreciate you, William. I like the Bloodline, but I'm ready for a Bobby Lashley faction and to see people not letting the Hurt Business or the Nation go. Whether we see a group of black men get together, I do have a feeling they might try to put Bianca with them. I didn't think about that. Her man's in there.
Yeah, I'm very much sold on what they're doing with those three guys. I think just the presentation of it is very good. I think that the backstage segments they've been doing are good. I really enjoyed the stuff they did this week as well. Yeah, I'm sold on it. I think it's a good stable. But again, I think that's one of those things. If they still had like 3 people in the bloodline, you could sell me on this being a 6-man at some point, and then leading to Bobby getting a match for the title then, but it just doesn't seem like that's where they're going.
Why was your man Dawkins rocking that bow tie last night?
I thought that was very funny. When I saw it, I was like, bro, he definitely got some bean pies in the trunk.
1000%. He definitely that's exactly the vibe I got. I'm like, you're not chilling, man. You about to be outside preaching the word somewhere, bro. Like, what's going on here? That's all of the super chats.
Yeah, supersized episode. We took a lot of time talking of hip hop stuff because hip hop. Yeah, hip hop did turn 50, and we did want to give it that importance of celebrating that moment for something that both of us love. But also, hopefully, we got into all of the wrestling stuff as well. I think we hit a bunch of topics. Appreciate you guys for staying here with us for a long episode. Be sure to check out our interview with Michael Oku that also drops after this episode.
It's dropping today, baby. That's a good one. Y'all need to check that out.
Yeah, big fan of Michael Oku. Hopefully, you see more of this man in the U.S. soon. We also got an interview coming up with Billy Dixon. Got some other things in the work.
Another good one.
But, you know what it is. This has been Grapsody, man. We appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for all your super chats. But we are out.
Peace.